Check. Mic check.
Misconceptions, we've got truth in our possession. No room for doubt, no time to waste. It's time to put flat earth in its place. Here comes the smackdown.
Welcome everybody to Tunes Day Night on a Monday. I'm your host, MC Toon. Today we are reviewing a debate between Witsit and Darryl Berry. Now, Darryl has done a live stream an hour ago going over the math that he presented in the debate. I haven't myself watched that yet. I was preoccupied. But I put the link to it in the description, so you can go watch it later. You can watch it now, whatever you need. Tomorrow night, I will be having Darryl on here to discuss the debate. And he's in the live chat right now. Look at that, right here. There he is. How you doing, Darryl? So tomorrow he's on with me. Tonight, I'm reviewing just the debate portion of the debate. It went on for Q&A after that for some time. And then after the Q&A, apparently there was quite the dumpster fire on Matters Now, where Witsit came on there to ignite the fire and then spray basically kerosene diarrhea all over the place. So I've heard, I haven't watched, don't know for sure. So the specific thing I'm looking for here is based on a little bit of feedback and just poking around, watching a little bit of it. Regards this debate, I haven't seen it. I've read a little bit of the response on Modern Day Debate, and it's mixed, as is always the case on there, because it's all flirty in there. But the thing that I'm really looking at is Witsit's dumping of flat Earth. I think that's what he's doing in this debate, and he's done it before. He's done it before the final experiment, but now the final experiment is coming, and I think he's reading the writing on the wall. He knows what's going to happen there. He does, and he knows that the dirt pizza is done, and so he's shifting. And I called it. I don't know which video it was. It was a live stream I did 1, 2, 3 months ago, saying that he's going to pivot to geocentrism globe. So let's cover that idea in regards to the dirt pizza first. We need a little prep before this. He likes to claim geocentric, right? He's like, I'm a geocentrist, but geocentrism is the position that was generally held from about 500 BC until Galileo, Copernicus, those guys, which, hundreds of years ago still, but for around 2,000 years, geocentrism was generally the leading case. And in the 1500s, people were coming around to say, oh, the Earth is moving, but it was a globe. But he's claiming geocentric flat Earth. Some of the time, I think he's ditching that, like I said, but Liquid Flames, didn't you say he was going to change? I remember a while back. Yes, I said he's going to change. I also think that he's focusing on he's without saying anti-Semitism. That's what he's about. And he's, he likes to play dictionary games, so he's going to use a different dictionary as it suits him, because he doesn't want that label, even though it fits. He'll use a different dictionary. The other then is politics, and he's done a few things on politics. But since he got absolutely demolished by Professor Dave, he really hasn't. He's done one thing on the Dirt Pizza, and that's speaking last a week and 2 days ago at a conference, a little mini conference in Florida. And even that wasn't very flirty. It was more geocentric. Anyway, so can flat Earth be geocentric? Does that work? The claim of geocentric is that the Earth is the center of the universe. Well, if you have the dome model, right, where the dome is the edge of it and there's nothing past the dome other than the waters, right, all the way around, even like outside the ring, right? They're like, they say ice wall or Antarctica, and then the dome comes down, they think, around Antarctica. So if this is the side view of the dome, right, side view of the dome, and it goes around this way, right, Antarctica is this perimeter here, this is the dome, they say the waters are up here, right? And then their pictures are like the Sheol is down here, like hell is down here. So where's the center of this? Right there. So that's not very geocentric. Oh, maybe there's equal amounts of down here. Well, then I suppose you could say that, but that's not generally what they claim. So that only barely works if you say that the bottom part is the same size as the top part. Okay, but that's not the popular position anymore. They don't like to say that the dome, because dome comes down and be like, oh, well, show me pictures of the dome. Let's go to the dome. And you think there's a dome, right? They're like, that's not what we do anymore. They think infinite plane, right? They're all coming up with pictures of Antarctica and then, a bunch of turds floating around in water outside of Antarctica. They're like, this is what it could look like. And they've named these continents. They've named them. There's these dumb maps with names on them. Okay, so if it's an infinite plane, where's the middle of an infinite plane? There is no middle to an infinite plane. Now, when you are on an infinite surface, you can conceivably say, well, to me, everything in all directions is equal. So it looks to me like the center, but it's not really the center. It's just your perception of it. Just like if you're on the ocean and you're far from land, and you don't see any land. In every direction you look, you see the same distance. To you, it seems like you're in the center of the ocean. You can't tell if you're in the center of the ocean from, one more mile, one more kilometer, one more nautical mile until you get to where you can see land. You don't know that. All you know is everything looks the same in all directions. So that can't be geocentric either. So he's using this geocentric term, and trying to apply it to his Dirt Pizza, but it doesn't, and other flat earthers do this too, but it doesn't really work. And somebody asked in a super chat near the very end about that. So it's a misapplication of that term. I don't know why he loves that term so much, but probably because he likes to look at the work that the globe geocentrists have done and apply that, and then do some magic to say, oh, it also works on flat Earth, which it doesn't. Anyway, so I am going to, we're going to watch a little bit of this here, and I'm going to change this setup a little bit while we watch a little bit. This is going to be Darryl's opener. So we've already been introduced, and Darryl's about to start. Here we go.
Awesome. Let me share my screen.
Sure thing. When you get that fired up, we'll start the timer.
And I need to move this over here.
That gives
I had it set, but apparently everything reset itself after I closed it in between time.
That's all right.
Let me just position this again.
Before everybody gets, fervently typing in the live section, this will give them a chance to actually hit the like button before they wear out their thumbs. See, that's how I'm going to pitch that tonight. All right, looks like we're up and running. So
Awesome.
once the actual, there we go. Gravity disproves geocentrism. We have that on the screen there. 10 minutes on the floor.
Sounds good. So my name is Darryl Berry Jr. A few of you may know me from a few previous debates I've done here. A little bit about me. Right now I'm a student at UT Austin. I'm a double major in physics and astronomy. I have 2 associate degrees, summa cum laude. I also work at the university as a learning assistant. So I'm definitely not an expert at physics, but I have a basic understanding. I help people learn it. Tutoring is available if anybody's interested. My current research right now, which I'll talk a little bit about in my presentation, is solar composition and solar rotation. So I'll tie that into how we know that the solar system is heliocentric. I'll start with talking about gravity. So the idea is, and this is a quote from one of my astronomy textbooks, the heliocentric system was secured when the 17th century British mathematician Isaac Newton developed a deeper understanding of the way all objects move and interact with one another. So the idea of talking about geocentrism is actually a de-evolution in logic and reasoning in science to pre-17th century. That's amazing. But this is what we're dealing with. But ever since Newton, Kepler came first, but Newton actually put the meat behind why Kepler's laws work. So, and it works on every single level. Of course, we have little g, 9.8 meters per second squared. We could determine an object that falls off a cliff, how long it takes to hit the bottom, how fast it reaches until it gets there. We can go farther out, like, for instance, the discovery of planets. So if you look into early astronomy, they only knew about the first 6 planets, and Neptune and so forth were too small to see, not even to mention Pluto, which they just counted as a sort of a dwarf planet or whatever. But these laws and these understandings dealing with gravity and Kepler's laws and so forth allow them to predict where planets would be. And it's the perturbation in their prediction that allowed them to discover the planet Neptune. So the predictive power of these laws and formulas are highly precise, and they govern how the planets move, which allows us to predict when things will be. For instance, where Jupiter will be with all of its moons. You can see Uranus in the background. This is one of the things you can look online to see where things are in the solar system. We can predict these things to a T with Kepler's laws as far as relative positions. Then we brought it to a more accurate rendition with accurate distances of things now with the technology and everything that we have today. And it extends beyond the solar system. So we're talking about whether the Earth is the center of the universe. Here's a video of stars orbiting the black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. I'm not sure, if I remember right, they might have even earned a Nobel Prize for this. I'm not sure about that part, though. But as we can see, these are stars orbiting the central black hole over a 20-year time lapse. So we can see gravity at work locally in the solar system. We can see the predictive power of it, which allows us to discover planets that we didn't know about before. We look into space, we see stars orbiting the central black hole, right? And then we can look even farther and look at, for instance, galaxies and clusters of galaxies. So this is the Bullet cluster. Is important because this cluster allowed us to determine that there must be some other matter in the universe that doesn't fit the normal parameters of baryonic matter, which we call dark matter. And we know that because we can look at the gravitational lensing, which is what these contours denote, and we can see that the majority of the mass, which is in the center, the reddish-orangish plasma, is not where the majority of the gravitational lensing is happening. So similar to how we utilize gravity to discover a planet, we utilize gravity to discover a different type of matter. So when things are similar in mass, like this is an actual picture on the left side of Sirius A and Sirius B, which, by the way, and I'll show it even farther, shows Witsit is completely wrong about the idea of stars not being spherical objects. But when stars are similar in mass, we can see them orbiting around a center of mass. And I'll start to tie this into the sun and the solar system. As I mentioned, my current research is about the sun. One of the things I did, I made a video on a while ago. I calculated the circumference of the Earth, a la Eratosthenes. Along the way, I calculated the size of the sun. We could see the sun in the sky. We know its angular size. We could have various rays to get its distance. We know it's 93 million miles away, for instance, from radar ranging. And simple calculations, I found that the diameter of the sun is 860,000 miles, which is very close to the official value. Now, these are some images from a satellite in space, the SOHO satellite. As a part of my research, I'm determining the rotation of the sun. As you can see, the sun is a physical object. The sun is rotating. is not just some electromagnetic thing or just fairy light in the sky like I heard Witsit talk about before. It's an actual object. So to go farther with that, I did a detailed study of the spots, about 12 different spots. I studied it across its rotation around the sun. I calculated that the sun rotates about 15 degrees per day, about 23 days for a full rotation. The tangential velocity around the center of the sun is about 2.2 kilometers per second. Along the way, I also, in preparing for this, calculated the mass of the sun as well as the mass of the Earth. And it's pretty simple when you understand rotations and the orbits and the distances that's going on. Now, I know I'm dealing with a bunch of people that are very delusional about what satellites are and whether images are real. So as part of my research, I went and got my own telescope and took some pictures of the sun on the left. You see my own picture of the sun that I took on the 3rd. I made a brief video while I was out there one day. On the right is the actual satellite photo from the same day, from, amidst the pictures that I used to make that previous video. So as we can see close.
That's pretty cool, Darryl. Like that. That's a great technique.
The sun is an object. It has blemishes on it that we call sunspots. It rotates as well. There's elements in the sun. So this is spectra I took of the sun recently. I've been getting better and better at getting spectra of the sun. If you look at the right, at the top, you can see that those elements are characteristics of elements in the sun. Hydrogen beta is hydrogen that has a certain transition of its electron. So it emits at a certain frequency, as well as carbon and magnesium. So these elements are pretty central to astronomy as far as studying stars and even in other parts of the galaxy and elsewhere to see their composition and things of that nature. If you look at the bottom, the comparison is the same spectrum on the right side, but those are telluric or earthbound elements. So oxygen, as well as water, right there around 720. An interesting thing I noticed, by the way, as a bit of a side, also compared to the spectra of the sun on a cloudy day. So on the left, that spectra looks pretty much like the sky spectra with slight differences because even though a lot of the spectra is still suppressed by the heavy cloud, as you can see, hydrogen beta, carbon, and magnesium still makes it through, albeit at a lower intensity. But if you look at the spectra comparing water and oxygen, telluric oxygen to HB, C, and magnesium, I noticed at least that the depression of the oxygen is so great, obviously because the atmosphere is here, but apparently it seems like those frequencies of light even make it through some heavy interference, which may be why it's so central to astronomy. So I thought that was interesting. In my last minute here, I'll talk about some of the things that we can tell from observing the solar system, like retrograde motion, which is consistent with a sun-centered solar system. The things we can predict with our understanding of the solar system using Newton's laws, Kepler's laws, the positions of planets, retrograde, planetary conjunctions, orbits of comets, meteor showers. And of course, you couldn't get out of it without me mentioning solar eclipses, which is one of my favorite things. So that's an image of the solar eclipse from the ISS. And that's pretty much it. So I look forward to discussing more as we go along.
Excellent, and discuss we shall. So yeah, if you're having a good time, make sure that you hit the like button, boost us up in the algorithm. We are going to be doing Q&A before the end here. So if you have any questions for either of our speakers, while I get our screens all fixed back up, definitely get it in now, and they'll be asked with priority. Look at that, guys. See how Zoom loves to just muck everything about? Perfect. All right, Austin, you have up to 10 minutes on the floor. Thank you so much for being here. Haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to be chilling on screen with you again, and I'll start your timer.
Nice. Thank you, man. All right, let's just cover some of the basics here. So what does typically happen in a lot of these discussions is it gets really into the weeds. And so I want to kind of lay basic premise of logic out here. The claim that the Earth is spinning and orbiting the sun is a positive claim that is antithetical to our experience. And this is just a fact, right? I mean, let's hypothetically say that we believe that we're going around the sun.
He's already off track. His positive claim he isn't even addressing. Right, he's already shifted to the other person's positive claim that he already, did his presentation on. So Witsit's, the basic. This is just basic debate. You present your case. He's not doing that.
For a second, well, we don't actually experience that, so we start to look at what we do experience and then try to explain it from that paradigm. That basic acknowledgement means that the one claiming that the Earth is going around the sun has the burden of proof. So what has happened over the course of time is this claim has evolved to now say that you could never actually detect or measure the Earth moving around the sun.
That's. It didn't take him long to lie, did it?
possible because time slows down and distances change. So there's no way to actually prove it or verify it. That all astronomical observations into the deepest parts of space that we can see will always make it look like the Earth is stationary and in the center of the universe.
But that's not the case. My gosh, Austin, he knows this. He knows what I have identified about the lies that he's telling here. It's in this book right here. But he doesn't care, because Austin is only about his audience and playing to his audience and impressing his audience. He doesn't need to address the fact that all the things that he's saying right now are not true. He doesn't have to, because his audience doesn't care. They're not going to go check him. Oh, hit the wrong button. I hit the transition button instead of the play button.
But that is just an illusion. You can never actually prove it with astronomical observation. So that is the current stillman.
No, it's not.
To go more into this idea of, I will stillman the idea that gravity debunks geocentrism, and then I will show why it's wrong really quickly. This is the popular argument typically, or retrograde or parallax, and all of these things have what's called a kinematic equivalence, meaning that they're equally valid whether the Earth is in the center or not, according to the mainstream heliocentric model. So I don't want to lose people necessarily, but let's get into
more things that are not true.
This idea about gravity. So we go back to Newton at 1660.
Oh, liquid flames. I bumped my microphone with this. So I changed my microphone. It's sitting here. It's not laying there anymore. So I can more quickly switch to this. Right? Microphone's not there. Look at that. It's right over here. Right there. This direction is the microphone.
And he has his Principia, and he proposes this idea of gravity. And for those who don't know, Newton said he couldn't understand it at all. He basically just reverse engineered the kinematics of Kepler and then threw in a mass value. That's literally what it is. Kinematics.
Yeah, amazing that it works, though. For centuries, it's been completely upheld every time it's been tested. So cool.
Has nothing to do with the force. That's dynamic. So anyway, that's where that idea comes from. And then Newton says, but I'm not going to lie, I don't even see how this could really happen. I can't understand it. I think it must be a direct act of God if this is correct. And there must be a background medium. That's why he subsequently wrote about the ether in depth multiple times. Now, what they will not tell you in mainstream academia is that the final page of his Principia actually said, as a caveat to all the stuff he had previously discussed, all that being said, the Earth could, of course, be in the center of the universe. And he says this is because there could be gravitation and a force akin to that working in conjunction, and the Earth could just happily be in the center of the universe and explain all of the phenomena. The idea is that gravity...
Of course, quoting people is just quoting people. It's not evidence for something. His burden of proof is the evidence supporting his claim.
Or that the sun has such a big mass that means that the Earth would have to go around it, is basically what someone's saying when they say that gravity debunks geocentrism. It actually isn't true. You can get into someone called Ernst Mach. He came along, a couple hundred years ago.
For reference, Mach had a hypothesis. And Witsit loves the hypothesis, but the hypothesis that Mach presented has not been confirmed.
Pointed out that all of physics had overlooked this idea that according to Newton, in his actual dynamic claim, his proposal of gravity, you would have to concede the Earth could just be in the center of the universe. And that's because you could account for all the mass of the entire universe. And if that was moving around the Earth in the center, then that would satisfy the equations. Important to note that that's all.
Not all of it, right? Just a very simplistic view of things. It doesn't address the other planets. Right. If the Earth is stationary, then why do the other planets move in the ways that they move? Mach doesn't have any explanation for that. The idea of Mach is about rotation. Is rotation absolute or not? And Mach's claim is that it is not. That if you take a bucket and you rotate the bucket, the water will go to the outside of that bucket. But Mach says, well, maybe the entire universe is rotating around that bucket and the bucket is stationary. So it's Galilean Galilean relativity in relation to not linear movement, but rotation. But of course, there's lots of problems with that. The very, very distant stars would have to be moving at a ridiculous rate. And it still doesn't explain all of the other things that we see. Why does Mercury take the path that it takes, or Mars or Jupiter? Those aren't explained by the Machian hypothesis.
All that they are equations. And what you will always hear is people.
Oh, I forgot. Hold on.
The person making a positive claim has the burden of proof.
That's right, Austin. You make the positive claim that Earth is stationary, therefore.
You make a positive claim of specificity, you have the burden of proof of specificity.
So just quoting people isn't satisfying that.
People just use the word gravity as if it is some verified, proven, defined idea. When in reality, the top levels of academia to this day will tell you they have no idea what it is. Many are coming out now and saying we're clearly very wrong about what we even previously thought that it was. People would skip over the define or prove the gravity part, and they just use it typically in this more elementary level.
The define or prove gravity. He thinks it hasn't been done? Right now, he doesn't. He thinks proof is something that scientists do. They don't, but he thinks it is because he's been told by his master Oakley, who he occasionally goes to do penance in front of and get berated for not behaving appropriately. But it's been defined. Certainly, he just said it hasn't been defined. Is that right? Weird.
Level of like mass attracts mass. So to cut to the chase there, Ernst Mach pointed out, well, you guys forgot and overlooked that Newton thought the sun was in the center of the entire universe. He made the assumption the sun was in the center of the universe. But we now know that isn't true, right? We've looked out and we've seen that's not the case. So, like, there's stuff way beyond what people call and reify called the
reify. He loves to just toss in these things that he got from Oakley. So funny.
The solar system. So he said, okay, now that we know that, and Newton obviously didn't take that into account.
Oh, so gravity hasn't been defined. Gravity, the law of gravitational attraction has. Yeah, the underlying mechanism of any of the forces has not. Gravity is not unique in that either, right? So if you're like, well, you haven't defined it at the lowest level possible, well, neither has the other forces, right? And you always get to a point where you're like, well, beyond this, we don't know. There's something else there that we have questions about, and we're going to be doing research on it.
He assumed the sun was in the center of the universe. Now, using his own dynamic claim, even if we were to grant it, it would denote that the Earth could be in the center of the universe. This is the Machian principle. Originally, Einstein pushed against this and ended up conceding and apologizing to Mach and be like, wow, turns out you got ridiculed for no reason. You were right. I can't even propose my theory if I don't acknowledge that the Machian principle that you're talking about is correct. Then Einstein ends up telling the world the Earth could be in the center of the universe. So let me run you through a few things that definitively show it. And like I said, our experience in the default position is that the Earth is in the center of the universe.
Again, with his default position BS. Let's make it clear. The default position, according to Witsit, is not that.
In every debate, the burden of proof typically lies with the person making the claim, but it can also lie with the person denying a well-established fact or theory.
So, Austin, if you're going to talk about in a debate, as you just said, the burden of proof lies primarily with the person standing against the long-held position, and that's in the debater's guide as well. That's a fundamental part of debate. Now, this is how to debate, and this is a lot about formal debate, point scoring debates. But I'm happy to say, okay, fine, we won't take the absolute mountains and mountains of evidence. We'll both start in this debate from there is no default position. But if you're going to invoke a default position, you don't get to claim your position is the default position. Because I can just as easily as you, I can say the default position is, and then list off a couple observations, which is what he does. The default position is that the Earth moves, the counter-rotating celestial poles. The default position is that the Earth is a sphere, the sun sets. Right? So all he does is he makes this, I don't know what fallacy it is. It's just a ridiculous thing to declare that his position is the default. It's not.
What has happened over time is that the heliocentric model was just kind of reified. It was proposed by people with religious motivation, which is the irony is palpable. You know, when it comes to how people approach this conversation as the dichotomy of science versus religion, heliocentrism was birthed from religion, religious beliefs that the sun was some type of deity or type.
No. The heliocentrism stood against was this is so ridiculous. The people that presented that the Earth is not in the center of the solar system, or that the Earth was not the center of the solar system, were not liked by the religious leaders. The Catholic Church wasn't a fan of it. The religion is completely flipped backwards. And Copernicus didn't worship the sun. He was a Catholic, right? He wasn't a sun worshiper. Neither was Giordano Bruno. He wasn't a sun worshiper either. So he's flipping this around again, as is Galileo, Copernicus. They were not liked by the religious leaders of the time. And this weird reality distortion field. Oh, that's not what was supposed to happen. This reality distortion field that Witsit puts out here is quite something. Okay. I clicked on something to comment or whatever. Now I don't know what spot I was at. So anyway, it's you got to light a flare. It's pretty standard for Witsit to completely misrepresent things. He should be ashamed. But he has no shame, and he has a giant ego.
Basically just reverse engineer the kinematics of Kepler.
All right, I got to jump ahead.
And like I said, our experience in the default position on the Earth ever. Okay, so that's a unfalsifiable claim.
Okay, hold on.
Voided. So the Michelson-Morley had an error.
All right.
Knowledge that the Machian principle that you're talking about is correct. Then Einstein ends up telling the world the Earth could be in the center of the universe. So let me run you through a few things that definitively show it. And like I said, our experience in the default position is that the Earth is in the center of the universe. What has happened over time is that the heliocentric model was just kind of reified. It was proposed by people with religious motivation, which is the irony is palpable. You know, when it comes to how people approach this conversation as the dichotomy of science versus religion, heliocentrism was birthed from religion, religious beliefs that the sun was some type of deity or tied to some type of deified source. Literally, all the prominent.
Oh my gosh! I did it again. What is it that I'm? Oh, it's the. Okay, I think I might. It's the comment thing. I'm clicking on the comment thing because I want to change the focus of the. Here, I'll let you see what I'm. This is where I'm at, and then down here it was the add a comment section here. That's what I was clicking on accident. So all right, train myself. Don't hit that one again.
In principle, originally Einstein pushed against this and ended up per second either direction.
All right.
Knowledge that the Machian principle they disputed, they did not detect the motion of the Earth from religion, religious beliefs that the sun.
All right, I'm at 18 minutes, so if I do it again, I know where I'm at.
Sun was some type of deity or tied to some type of deified source. Literally, all the prominent people that proposed it. But anyway, so we're going to fast forward to people assuming that the heliocentric model was true because they had their little occultic sun-worshipping beliefs. And then we get to things such as Michelson-Morley. And Michelson-Morley, assuming the Earth orbits the sun.
It wasn't an assumption. It wasn't an assumption. I'll pull it up here. It's like he hasn't read it. Would that surprise anybody to find out that Witsit hasn't read? I don't know. But here we have Michelson-Morley's paper. Or Michelson. I've never got a clear answer on the correct pronunciation. I've gotten several different answers, but none that were like solid. Okay. You can't see that. Hold on. There you go. All right. The first sentence The discovery of the aberration of light was soon followed by an explanation according to the emission theory. The aberration of light is talking about James Bradley, 1727. So the very first sentence is talking about an experiment that happened in 1727. This was published in 1887, so 150 years prior about. The effect was attributed to a simple composition of the velocity of light with the velocity of the Earth in its orbit. So that's a measurement of the motion of the Earth around the sun. It's not an assumption. It's based on evidence. The difficulties of this apparently sufficient explanation were overlooked until after an explanation on the undulatory theory of light was proposed. So the undulatory theory of light is the ether, as that Witsit's arguing for. So, and the emission theory, that first sentence, go back to the emission theory, that goes back to Newton and proposing that light is corpuscles of energy, similar to what we have today. Also, the waves are similar to what we have today. That's the dual nature of light. So the emission theory gives a great explanation for it. It's a particle traveling at a certain rate, and the Earth is moving at a certain rate, and the composition of those two makes the light appear to be shifted. He already said aberration, parallax, redshift is ruled out, bro. Because he said so, therefore it is, right? Anyway, this is the actual state of the art that Michelson-Morley was talking about at the time. It wasn't an assumption. It was based on actual measurements. Anyway, so then the undulatory theory of light was proposed. This new explanation was at first almost as simple as the former, but it failed. The ether, the undulatory, failed to account for the fact proved by experiment that the aberration was unchanged when observations were made through a telescope filled with water. That's Airy. That's Airy's failure. They're referencing Airy's failure. Now, they didn't, if it was a new paper today, there would be a little superscript number after that, and it would be a reference to what it was. Now, you do see at the bottom, there are some superscripts here, a little star and a little cross there. But they didn't say after that first sentence, they didn't say, here, see 1727 Bradley. And after this one, they don't say, see whatever year Airy. The audience knew, but it's helpful to have citations like we do now. Anyway, so that failed. Airy's failure failed to make ether, to explain ether along with the motion of the Earth, and there's things that it needed to do and it did not do. So now when Austin is talking about this, what he's doing is he is come here we go, there it is. All right, Austin is now he's jumping something here. He is assuming ether exists, and he's whistling past the fact that the ether was the thing being tested. There's no question about whether or not the ether was the thing being tested. The undulatory theory, that's what they were testing in Michelson-Morley. The title is On the Relative Motion of the Earth and the Luminiferous Ether. Right? The motion of the Earth was known. The first paragraph makes it clear that they knew about the motion of the Earth. It was not assumed, it was measured. But Austin doesn't want that, so he whistles past that fact and just says assumed. The assumption here that was being tested was the ether. So anyway, I got a few super chats I should get read here. I don't want to get too far. Kango44 says, no, Darryl, maths and observations and all the science you actually did is weird and gay. People should just listen to all my BS. This is Witsit speaking. Witsit says, I haven't actually done anything, but I'm right. Wah! Exactly. Brian Thornton says, Tune. Have you seen Zetetic Warrior's newest video about Jaren? It's an absolute goldmine of epic proportions. You reviewing it would be awesome. I will have a look at it now. I'll see if it's something worth reviewing live. Thank you for that. I know he has been going nuts on Jaren, so crazy. Tim Davidson says, I'm a pacifist, but Witsit and Flatzoid make me think I look good in orange. See what you're saying there? They are odious people, are they not? Lord Illuminous Poo has been a member for 7 months, probably longer. But anyway, he says, I worship Algorithmizo and the Trinity of like, comment, and subscribe. Well, do that. Not just you, Lord Illuminous Poo, but everybody is invited to like, comment, and subscribe. Melodic Lyrics says, Witsit says the axis of evil shows the universe is inhomogeneous and anisotropic, except you need to cancel out motion up to the galaxy. How can the Earth be at the center when it is moving? First law. Yeah. The other thing he doesn't quite get is the inhomogeneity of the axis of evil, the cosmic microwave background. There's a few things about it. First of all, it was measured in a sphere around the Earth. And if the Earth is under a dome, that doesn't work very well, does it? It was also measured by satellites, if I remember correctly. Is that right? Anyway, never mind that, Witsit. Never mind satellites. They don't work for flat Earth, but he magically thinks they do. Also, the inhomogeneity of it is so incredibly slight that you would be hard pressed to find something that was more homogeneous than the temperature variation of the cosmic microwave background. It's just that the detection of it was extremely precise. And so you're looking at only a relative inhomogeneity, right? If you were to compare it to the temperature inside of a carton of milk that has been homogenized, I use it because milk you purchase is homogenized. I think you would find that the milk is significantly less homogeneous. Anyway, the reason why I use milk is we used to have a goat, and we would set the milk in the fridge after and then the cream would rise to the top, and my dad would skim the cream off, and I don't know what we did with the cream, but and then we would have the milk to drink. So yes, we had a goat, and I did drink goat milk for a while, and I got okay with the flavor. And then later I'm like, hey, I'll try some goat milk. Nope. Don't like it. We made goat milk ice cream, which I at the time liked, but you develop it and then you're like, not for me anymore. I actually tried goat milk kefir. I don't like yogurt, but I can have kefir. It's okay. But I tried goat milk kefir. No thanks. No, thank you. I do like goat cheese is okay in small amounts. So, anyway, why did I say that? Just because I used the word homogeneous. Because if you don't want the cream to separate, you need to homogenize the milk, which basically is like whipping it, and it breaks the long chains so that it doesn't separate anymore. The cream and the rest of the non-cream doesn't. Anyway, not important, but I hope you enjoy that little anecdote on when I grew up, we had a goat. And what was the goat's name? What was the goat's name? You know what? There's this thing, start a Q&A. So I've never done this, this start a Q&A. So what was the goat's name is the question. So there it is. Can you like go answer it? I don't know if that, it's taken over my my chat here. Why did it do that? I didn't want that. Oh, there it is. Okay. Go back to that. Okay. None of you are going to get it. None of you. Not one of you. All right. Anyway, the point is, Michelson-Morley was not assuming the Earth was moving. They had evidence that the Earth was moving, measurements of the Earth's motion. So when Witsit says that, he's either extremely ignorant, or since he has already known this because he's heard me reference this, he's just lying.
Assuming that there was a background medium called the ether, which had been verified with multiple tests at that point, it wasn't even disputed. They did not detect the motion of the Earth.
They did not detect the ether. They did not detect the ether. The motion of the Earth had already been measured. And prior to it, let me go over this so that everybody, so you all know. I think you all should, you've probably seen this. Let me get the right one here. This here, all right. This is a messed up. This scene's messed up, but it's okay. You can see this. All right. Earth around the sun. I'll give this to you. And I really wish that people would reference this, because Witsit likes to go to this prove the motion of the Earth, and this is it right here. I've done the work. It's mc2.net/Earth around the sun. And Einstein mentions two of these in this book right here. Well, I'll before I show you this page, I will might as well show you this one. There it is. Experience in the Special Theory of Relativity here in the book Relativity, the Special and General Theory by Einstein from 1916. Witsit actually thought this book was the theory of relativity, like his publication. No, Einstein published 4 papers the year before in 1915. Those 4 papers are the theory of relativity publication, general relativity. Anyway, so here it is. Experience in the Special Theory of Relativity. Witsit likes to lie and go to this one here, and he says whether or not the motion of the Earth in space can be made perceptible in terrestrial experiments. We have already remarked in section 5 that all attempts of this nature had a negative result, right? Yes, but the terrestrial is the important part. Terrestrial would be without looking outside the terrestrial, the Earth, without looking outside the Earth. But if you just do this right here, Witsit, just this right there, just right here, we refer to the yearly movement of the apparent position of the fixed stars resulting from the motion of the Earth round the sun, and then in parentheses, aberration, and that's James Bradley, and to the influence of the radial components of the relative motions of the fixed stars with respect to the Earth on the color of the light reaching us from them. Both of these refer to the stars. These are not terrestrial experiments. These are extraterrestrial experiments. We're looking outside the Earth. That's why when he said that they did not have success with terrestrial experiments, yet 2 pages prior he talked about this. This is because they measured it using non-terrestrial. Seriously, Witsit, just stop being such a piece of crap. Anyway, so aberration, that's the first one that Einstein was talking about. I have the paper right here. There it is. It's really awesome. I love reading this because the F's, or so the S's are F's right there. You see that? A civilian professor with 2 F's. No, they're not F's. They're not crossed. You see that? It's an F without a cross on it, a crossbar. You can see professor, SS. That's 2 S's. That's so cool. Anyway, you can read this at your leisure and see that that this is a measurement of the movement of the Earth around the sun. And it's not just a little bit known. Here's the first edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Right here. First edition of it, 1771. So sometimes flatties like to claim, they lie a lot. They like to claim that that the globe was only presented in the 1950s, or that in 1900 it was illegal to teach, they'll like to say. But no, that's not the case at all. Anyway, aberration from 1771 from Encyclopedia Britannica, in aberration in astronomy, a small look at this. This is still that same F and S style. Aberration in astronomy, a small apparent motion of the fixed stars, first discovered by Dr. Bradley and Mr. Molyneux, and found to be owing to the progressive motion of light and the Earth's annual motion in its orbit. If a lucid object be fixed, and the eye of the observer moving along in any other direction than that of a straight line from the eye to the object, it is plain that the object must have an apparent motion greater or less according to the velocity with which the eye is moved and the distance of the object from the eye. There it is. For your pleasure, I have first, second, third, fourth, all the way up to the 9th edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica from 1875. The 10th edition was just an update to the 9th, and then the 11th edition, which was the final edition before that things got changed, has it. So there, all of those referencing aberration. So all through these centuries from 1771 to 1910, it was referred to, and each different edition gets a larger and larger section there. Anyway, other analysis of it down there. So James Bradley wasn't the only one. He was just the first one. Then the second part here, the annual Doppler shift. This is the thing that again, Einstein mentioned in this book. I have the publication here, circa 1892. It's in German. Einstein was fluent in German, being his first language. So there's the book. You can read it yourself. It's 300 some pages. It's very detailed. So if you disagree with it, if you think it's wrong, then of course, Witsit, what do you have? You have the burden of proof, Witsit. You have the burden of proof, if you think it's wrong, to actually address it.
You do understand, again, that positive claims require the burden of proof.
Well, yeah, so if your positive claim is that is wrong, you have the burden of proof.
Positive claims have the burden of proof.
Indeed they do, Austin. I'm glad you see it that way. All right, let's get back to this.
Make this point, and we'll see if this ever actually gets directly addressed, because it's typically avoided. So the Michelson-Morley had an error margin of 1 kilometer a second. So if the reading could be off in 1 kilometer per second.
Of course, none of what he is saying right now matters, because everything about Michelson-Morley was about testing the ether's existence. In order for Witsit to be correct, the ether would have already have to have been established. And by Witsit's own words, the ether is not science. It has not been proven.
Ether's not science.
Ether's not science.
Ether is an immaterial background medium of pure potential. It cannot be quantified or measured intrinsically.
There it is. So Witsit needs the ether, but cannot establish that the ether exists. But he is, in all of this talk right now, he is 100% assuming that the ether exists.
Back in either direction. They consistently got a measurement around 6 kilometers per second. they were supposed to detect a 30 kilometer per second orbit around the sun.
Assuming
this
ether
changed
exists.
all of physics. This didn't just get rid of the ether, it changed all of physics. Einstein came in and then gave us this idea of relativity, embracing relative motion, in space and time, bending and warping, time slowing down, et cetera, that basically equates to you could never actually detect it. That's why Einstein himself said in multiple different quotes and writings and letters and in publications that he's come to the conclusion you can never actually detect that the Earth is orbiting around the sun.
We refer to the yearly movement of the apparent position of the fixed stars resulting from the motion of the Earth around the sun, and to the influence of the radial components of the relative motion of the fixed stars with respect to the Earth and the color of light reaching us from them. Witsit, you're a liar.
In any experiment on the Earth ever. Okay, so that's a unfalsifiable claim, right? That's so again, that side objectively has a burden of.
And think about the his audience, right? He knows he's lying. He specifically actually challenged me to debate on this exact narrow topic. I'm like, I'm just gonna quote this. That he knows of it. That's from more than a year ago. Right? He knows of it, and he knows he's lying.
Proof, and they're stapling their entire claim with an unfalsifiable position. So, frankly, that kind of ends the debate. But here's the main thing: Einstein said, "Okay, yeah, we are consistently getting that reading," and so he came up with an idea to say, "Oh, well, based on the way that space and time bend and warp, and actually we're free falling, Newton was wrong. We're not going around because."
Look at the super chat from Witsit, from the modern day debate.
Of a force, so you can't detect it. You're just going to get zero. You can't detect the orbit, even though we're moving. But they did keep on getting a measurement. Then Dayton Miller replicated it, millions of measurements, and then it's been replicated.
Millions now. Dayton Miller got millions of measurements. Now here's again where Witsit is shining a bright light on his misunderstanding of science. So what did Michelson-Morley measure? Well, let's have a look here. He doesn't understand. It will not surprise you. He does not understand margin of error. So and they didn't in 1887 when Michelson-Morley did their experiment. They didn't do a lot on margin of error. Margin of error is much more important now. The strain is called cheetah piss. AT2 Production says my guess is all of them. I like the cheetah piss. So all right, let me show you. I did let's see if I have. Did I do? So I don't think I did. Don't think I have it right here. So nope. Where did I put it? Okay, so I took the graph from the Michelson-Morley experiment, and it's not to scale. It's at two different scales simultaneously. And that's what's a little bit challenging about it. So let me bring it up here. No. Did I close it? No, I didn't. Okay. Here you go. Back to this. So let's scroll down. I'll find the graph. Here's the graph. All right. You see this graph right here. The dashed line is the prediction. I got a donkey in here. Hi, donkey. What are you doing? Okay. He's just chilling. Okay. The dashed line is the prediction, presuming ether exists, which Witsit agrees can't be proven, can't be empirically tested, basically is pseudoscience, right? Pseudoscience is things pretending to be science that are not, things that are unfalsifiable that claim to be science. And he's said it's unfalsifiable himself. Anyway, so the dashed line is what the prediction is, and the other line is the what was measured. Now, it's not to scale. The dashed line is 8 times more. So you see there on screen, the dotted, let's see if I can highlight that. So no, I can't. The dotted curves represent 1/8 of the theoretical displacements. So I adjusted this graph to put the the dash line in with the in the same scale, just made it 8 times taller. And to give a little better idea of it, right? So those lines, the actual measurements, that's noise. But he's like, oh, they did measure it, but did they? Because some of them go the wrong direction. Some of them go the right direction. So if you look at that chart there, on the, let me zoom in more. I can't highlight it, unfortunately, so that you can see it. But if you look at this, look at the top one there, that first point, that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 per side, about total of 10 data points there. So on the left side, the very first point is at 0. That's at 0 time. So there's no measurement there. The next one is there's a little bit up. And then that one in the middle there, it's actually below 0. It's slightly less than 0, if I remember, because I actually put the numbers into a spreadsheet. So did they measure it? Well, at the time when that should have been the highest, it was less than 0. It was the wrong direction. Right. And then on the right side, well, then it does match a little bit on the right side. But the left side already showed that it doesn't match. And then we see the same thing on that second graph, where that you have that 1 point there. 2 of them on the left side are below 0. They're on the wrong side. And then the right side sort of matches. So, but as the measurements get more and more precise over time, they've found that within the margin of error there isn't any matching, correlation between the apparent displacement, the diffraction movement, and the ether, as it would have to be for the Earth rotating. But Dayton Miller did work on that, and he did use the same apparatus as Michelson-Morley, and he did say that he measured it. But here's where Witsit really fails at understanding. The graph that I showed you there, this graph, this is the result of many, many measurements. Is it hundreds of, did it prove it 100 times because there's 100 individual measurements? No. You don't count the individual measurements in an experiment, right? You take it as a whole. And so when Dayton Miller did his work, he did lots of measurements, and Witsit claimed literally millions. He just said literally millions, right? It wasn't. I think it was in the thousands of individual measurements that Dayton Miller did in the experiments that he had done. Good, but when analyzed, it didn't really work out. But he concluded, this is great. Dayton Miller concluded that the Earth was moving, that in fact the whole solar system was moving. What's interesting about Dayton Miller is that he had concluded that the solar system was moving toward a point in the north celestial sphere, until another experiment came out, another measurement of the movement of the solar system through the galaxy came out and said, oh no, we're moving toward a point in the southern celestial sphere, and the southern part of the celestial sphere. And then he reworked his data and said, oh, well, look at that. It looks like we're moving towards a point in the south celestial sphere. That's a pretty funny one. Go look at, I think it's in his paper. He actually mentions it. Kind of little self-damning there. Can we get a small hint for the goat? All right, I'll answer the question on the goat. Let me see here. We've got goat Churchill, Mustang Sally, Peaches, Cow, LL Cool J, Bessie, Snoopy, Eagle or Cobra, Antelope, McGoaty. Is it named after another animal like penguin, turtle? No. Why do cowboys wear 2 spurs? If one side of the horse moves, so does the other. Garbage disposal. We did feed it that. Is it Goaty McGoatface? It was not. By saying aberration isn't, he admits he's not the default, or I'm a fool. Says exposing Moz tricks. Dude, that's the wrong place to answer. Was the goat the start of naming animals, other animals' names, space, comma, male or female? We milked the goat. Was it a male or female? Mark W. Could somebody Could somebody explain the difference between boy goats and girl goats to Mark W? Fred or Moose? No, none of those names are correct. The name of the goat was named after a song by the Oak Ridge Boys. It also was the name of a character from a show that she was a little bit of a vampire-looking character and had, oh, there it is, Stringer News 1. Famous Potatoes, O.B. Parker, Facty, The Rich News, yeah, it was Elvira. The goat's name was Elvira. That was my dad. My dad did that. That was his thing. Anyway, he loved the Oak Ridge Boys. Still does, I suppose. There it is. Mark W says you can milk a male goat, just not from the nipple. So my question remains. Mark W, please. Oh my gosh, as I was saying it, I'm like, oh, yep. Turns out you can. All right. I have no idea where we were. So I'm just going to go back to here.
Into modern times. Now, this is what Einstein said about Dayton Miller's replications that kept verifying, oh, we are detecting a little bit of motion, but it can't be the Earth orbiting the sun. He said, if that is true, if Dayton Miller's measurements are accurate, my entire theory collapses like a house of cards. And if it's not due to some underlying fundamental error, I have no explanation, and it completely disproves everything that I've proposed to save the heliocentric paradigm.
That's certainly not the words that Einstein said, to save the heliocentric paradigm. No, he did not say that. But yes, but it does seem that Einstein had that position. Good thing Dayton Miller's experiment was not that good. When it was analyzed multiple times later, it was found to not be in agreement with reality, including by Auguste Piccard. He tested it, but future measurements using my Michelson-Morley type apparatuses found more and more precision. Found nope, we don't have that actual measurement that Dayton Miller had. So Dayton Miller is an outlier. He's the one person who had this type of measurement in a sea of hundreds of other measurements that disagree with him. And so Witsit is saying this is the hubris here. Witsit is claiming that the one is the right one and everybody else is wrong. You're right. What kind of logic would give you that? I don't know. It wouldn't. Logic doesn't.
Okay. Well, here is the question that I want to wrap up with. This summarizes the entire debate. They could never, and no one ever has, proposed exactly what this supposed error is. What is the cause of this error? They try to say it was temperature. They control for radiant heat sources and proof that it wasn't. So the measurement is consistently showing a correlation with direction and altitude and solar motion periodicity, the time of the year.
Solar motion. So here is Witsit. So the question of my live stream is Witsit dumping flat Earth? And this right here, when you agree with Dayton Miller, you are dumping flat Earth, or stationary Earth at least, because Dayton Miller's conclusion is that the Earth is moving.
So this cannot be an error this cannot be an instrumental error. The instrument doesn't care what cardinal direction it is. Instrumental error doesn't care what time of year it is. Okay, and then we can get into obviously all the observations where you get into Edwin Hubble that show that, oh, wow, never mind. The Earth does look like it's in the center, and that's where you get the idea of anisotropic, homogeneous distribution in all directions that makes the Earth look like it's in the center. So we'll start there. I got 30 seconds left, so I'll say this. Parallax, retrograde, stellar aberration, all of these things are not even on the table as exclusive to heliocentrism. So again, to reiterate.
That's it. That one sentence. Not exclusive to heliocentrism. And I do know that he doesn't have any way of showing that it is compatible with globe geocentrism, much less the dirt pizza.
The people claiming that we are in fact orbiting the sun have the burden of proof. So the question should be answered, and this is the question in conclusion. Do you have any exclusive evidence that the Earth is in fact orbiting the sun? If it is not, it is in the center of the universe.
And that is a non sequitur. Even if there was none, you don't conclude your position. You still have the burden of proof of specificity.
You have the burden of proof of specificity of your specific claim.
There you go. Yeah. So
you can't shift the burden of proof. That's called a shifting the burden of proof fallacy.
That's right. Yep. That's a shifting the burden of proof. So if you don't have evidence, if you don't have measurements of stationariness, then you don't get to conclude stationary. All you can conclude is don't know. But we do have measurements of motion. So, Professor Philbell, is Witsit claiming that the Earth is a geostationary globe? How else does his kinematic equivalence work? Yes, that is, I think, what he's doing here. He's completely disregarding flat Earth.
All right. Well, that was a perfect time wrap up pretty much there. So I appreciate that, Austin.
Okay, so for you, Darryl, and for anybody that's going to be debating whether or not the Earth moves, or go to that page, get up to speed on those 4 things on that page. I only covered 2 of them. There's a total of 4. Get up to speed on them, and because the things that the geocentric globers talk about, they can't. All they can do is say some words. They can't actually do the application of their stuff. It's, they're a little less word salady, but it's still the same as what flat earthers say or do, right? They just have some vague concept. Flat earthers have some vague concept. The globe geocentrists have a little less vague concept, but they still can't actually run through and say, well, here's how aberration works. Here's how parallax works. They don't have these things. And then to go one more, I need to wrap through to Dayton Miller, because somebody mentioned it in the chat here. The Ether crew, Witsit and the other clowns in the Ether crew, they claim that Dayton Miller is the only one whose measurement counts because he didn't do it in an enclosed metal box or in a heavily protected by bricks and stuff like that, right? In the basement of a building. So the Michelson-Morley one in 1887 was in the basement of a building. It was surrounded by bricks, and so that's why they claim that he only measured a small drift. And Dayton Miller did it on the top of a mountain, and he did it with like cloth and not metal shielding it and stuff like that. They're saying, so then they say, well, that blocks the ether. They've hypothesized that the ether can't get through those things. And so if you do it inside of a grounded, shielded metal container, like high-end measurements, that the ether can't get through. But they also claim that the Michelson-Gale, the Sagnac effect measurements, where they're measuring the rotation of the Earth, they claim when they measure the rotation of the Earth in these exceedingly precise measurements, that it is the ether movement that they're measuring. But these are done in highly shielded metal and underground devices, like the Gingerino experiment or measurement. It's just it's an apparatus there. It's underground and it's inside metal tubes. How does that work? Suddenly, in those instances, the ether can get in and have a very consistent measurement, whether it's in there or it's in an airplane, fiber optic gyroscope. That's not in a building. It's still measuring the movement. How is it that you get the same amount of movement in both of those? Further, it can't be about elevation because Auguste Piccard did 3 different measurements from a balloon, much higher than the ones that Dayton Miller did, and he did not get confirming measurements. So he did a Michelson-Morley type experiment with a balloon, with a device on a balloon at high altitude. So None of these things match, right? They just pretend the others don't exist. They don't want to talk about Auguste Piccard's measurements. I think I have those on my, let me see if I have them on. No, I don't have it there. I'll have to save that for a different day. Anyway, there it is. He wrapped it up. Let me read a couple things here before I get back to the discussion now. I think it's going to get juicy. The Sun Express says, imagine Witsit having to look at a flat, homogeneous distribution on a wobbly, wavy table. One has to wonder what he thinks flat soda/pop actually is. Flat, homogeneous distribution on a wobbly, wavy table. That's good. Kango44 says, Mike, have you seen Nathan Oakley now prowls Omegle? He's gone full taxi driver. I have seen that. It's creepy. Super creepy. Creepy. Oh, don't forget to close my Q&A. Okay. I don't even know what it looks like. From your side. I've never... There it is. Okay. Confirm. Ending Q&A. There it is. I don't know. What do you see when that happens? I've never been in a live stream that has a Q&A. Cool. Yeah, anyway, yep. Super creepy. Oakley. And he shaved his head. Like, that wasn't a good look. I mean, the ever shrinking hairline was not good either, but wow. I'm not. Ooh.
Thank you so much for your introductory statement. Thanks again to our live chat, everybody hanging out and making contributions to the chat. We appreciate you. I've put a poll up, so if you're the type of person that doesn't miss your mouth with a fork, you can hit the like button and participate in our poll there. So we're going to carry into our open discussion. Once again, we'll be doing a Q&A at the end, everybody, so if you put in a super chat, we'll read that with priority. Yeah, Darryl, I'll hand the floor over to you to respond to some of what you've just heard, and then Austin, feel free to jump in. It's open discussion time.
So Witsit, can we just go ahead and just go to question and answer and end this debate because you're so wrong? Would you just agree that you're so wrong about stuff? We could just end it now and call you the loser of the debate. Would you agree to that?
What in the world kind of question is that?
This was not the approach we were expecting. Yes.
Hey, man, do you have any proof the Earth moves around the sun?
Let me give an example of what I mean. One moment here. I'll show a very, I'll play a very short clip. This is you speaking. So one moment here.
Because
you're not gonna...
you just start to see, you're going to be able to know where it's going to be in a few days, more and more so the closer it is to that moment, right? Like you're seeing it moving in its path, and so it's getting closer and closer to where it's going to be, which just kind of shows that their whole facade of how well they understand the sky is a lie.
Right. So you just said that them being off on that eclipse a little bit means they don't know what they're talking about. Their predictions are a lie.
No, time out. Darryl, I can promise you what's not going to happen is that you're going to play out of context clips and then rephrase and tell the audience what I was saying. Right. So now, and by the way, I'm here right now.
That's not what I'm doing. So,
Darryl, real fast.
Just hold on 1 second there, Darryl. 1 second. Darryl, just 1 second, Darryl. You played a clip of Austin speaking. I think it's fair for Austin to explain the context of the clip, and then let's carry on. Just because you are using his own, his own voice there. So let's give Austin a chance.
I just want to really quick. I'm actually here right now, so you can talk to me. That's a kind of a weird tactic to do anyway. But the context was that.
Oh, it's a great tactic. What it does is it shows his inconsistencies. It's the goalpost moving. It's the dual standard of evidence. That's why it's a great thing to have a collection of Witsit saying things.
Provably, anyone that actually knows how eclipse predictions are done, which is completely irrelevant to anything being discussed in our openers, and this is a complete red herring from the beginning of the debate. I was saying that actually you have to look at the inclination measurements and many different measurements of the moon, and every astronomer will tell you that you have to make these measurements closer and closer to time to get a more precise measurement or prediction. And
every astronomer will say that. Really?
I said that actually shows that this whole facade that they could just map it out perfectly 10,000 years in advance so they know exactly what the heliocentric model does isn't true. You have to look at the actual moon within a few weeks leading up to every eclipse.
Wow. Where's the citation for this, Austin? Nowhere.
To get a more accurate prediction of where it's going to be and exactly when it's going to be. So you were trying to misrepresent that, and I don't really know what that has to do with the discussion anyway.
I like this super chat over here by Alejandro Vallejo. It says, so as Witless finally admitted the Earth is a globe, after all, infinite plane can't be geocentric by definition.
I'm leading to that right now. That's why I want to play another clip right away, because it's measured, it's pertinent to something else that was in near that discussion.
Debate tactic was to come with clips of me talking at other times.
I'll show you momentarily. We're going to talk together now. This is you.
But what I really want to make sure, this is the proper way to do this. There's a claim on the table that we know what the eclipse is that the spherical moon is getting in front of the spherical sun. That cannot be what's happening, because the shadow is a circle, and spheres don't cast circle shadows on other spheres. It creates an S-wave shadow. So we can.
What the hell is that? Darryl, this is genius. What's an S-wave shadow? Spheres cast circular shadows.
Throw that explanation out. It's been refuted with geometry.
All right, so this is you saying that geometry proves that the eclipse can't be happening the way they say it's happening, because shadows can't cast a spherical object can't cast a spherical shadow.
All right,
So
just
let
in
me
the
show you an
interest of fairness,
experiment I did today.
One second there, Darryl.
And get your response.
I'm so sorry. I'm just in the interest of fairness, once again, if you're going to play clips of Austin, I think it's fair for him to respond and give us some context of where, what he might have been saying there, or even.
Darryl says the shadow does slant when the eclipse is at the edge of the Earth, but circular towards the center. Yeah, but it's not an S wave, whatever an S wave shadow is. But yes, it gets elongated as it falls on the sphere of the Earth, which would not happen if the Earth were flat. It would be different, right? It would still elongate it, but in a different way. How about that?
Even just, pull us into some of the talking points you may want to discuss tonight.
Okay.
We're totally fine to go down different.
Or does he mean sine wave? Does he not even understand the quote that he's quoting and well enough to say sine wave instead of S wave? I have no idea, right? He sucks at math.
Avenues of what's been talked about, but like I said, I think it's only fair that we give Austin a chance to respond before we just keep moving to the next thing. So, Austin, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I'd just like to make a point that the first time you proposed it, you just gave me very strong evidence and had nothing to say about it. And this is going to happen again. So I didn't say that spheres can't cast circular shadows. What I said is, if you take a sphere and you put it in front of another sphere to cast a shadow, so it's casting a shadow onto another sphere, it will objectively, provably, verifiably distort that shadow. It will not remain a perfect circle as it crosses the entire face of the other sphere. This is, again, big.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Just like the eclipse shadow. Does he not know that the eclipse shadow is elongated on the edges? He must not. He must be unaware of that.
Basic geometry, because of course the surface of the sphere is convex. So that's what was actually said. None of that has anything to do with the question of if the Earth is in the center of the universe.
What you just said, now everybody heard it. What you said was that this can't happen. You said that a sphere can't.
Oh, hold on. Darryl's all right.
Cast a circular shadow on another sphere is going to cast an S-type shadow, and the circular shadow that we saw, this was on the 8th of April, so it seems you were talking about that eclipse that is circular, so it's impossible. You're wrong.
Okay, now we're going to correct you again.
Just today.
We're going to have to correct you again, Darryl. So actually what I said was, if you take a sphere and you move it in front of the face of another sphere, as it goes from one side of the face of the sphere to the other, it will distort. It will distort. There are many videos of people doing it. Not if you just find the perfect angle that you can cast one. If you move that baseball in front of that basketball from face to face, that sphere will distort from a perfect circle.
He's showing it. He's literally showing it. Witsit. Is Witsit not looking?
It's as easily verified. And again, a complete red herring out the gate from the actual subject of the debate.
I see it right there on the screen. The subject of the debate, this is why I bring this up. Your entire presentation was pretty much, believe me, bro, you presented no evidence. You presented no references. All you did was say a bunch of stuff and say, this is how it is, right? So the only thing you presented is just your word, believing your word. I'm pointing out that your word can't be counted on.
Wait, we're going to actually make sure that you admit you're wrong, and everyone in the chat is going to, they're all claiming that you got me. And I was like, Do you agree that it's different when I say that if you take a sphere and move it across the entire face of another sphere, that as it moves across it, the shadow will become distorted in the process of moving across the convex surface? That is different than taking a still shot of a sphere in front of another sphere to get a circle. Are those different things?
I'll give you something better than that.
Are those different things?
I'll give you something better than that.
You can't answer.
Pay attention to how this conversation has progressed and just use a little bit of wisdom, pattern recognition, to discern, realize that when someone is telling the truth, they are going to stay consistent. They're going to remain consistent. Someone that is representing something untrue will have to constantly shuck and jive and update. And
All right, I'll show you this just for reference. Here is a typically the eclipse paths are not. Is this? There it is. They don't typically give the simultaneous drawing of the eclipse, but here is one that does, and this is from the April 8th eclipse, and this is near the edge of it, right? So it's getting toward the edge of the Earth, and so this is above here, Maine, on the right side of the screen there. So you see it's elongating there. You see that? Look at the 330 EDT. The shadow is elongated. That's what they're showing there, is the point of it. So, yes, it does in fact do that. Awesome. What?
change their position.
So what you're doing, according to...
Now, I have to say, Darryl, I don't quite know why you went on to the Eclipse stuff with him. Maybe there's something that you're getting to that I'm missing, because that wasn't the topic of this. But we will be talking tomorrow. Darryl will be with me tomorrow to talk about this.
Your own words is you're shucking and jiving. What you're saying now does not match the clip I played. And that's why, Ryan...
You played it out of context. How about you want to bet live right now $10,000 that if I go...
You want to bet live right now $10,000? He does that all the time. All the time he's in a debate, when he starts to get nervous, he'll say, you want to bet right now? All the time. People take him up on it, and then he never does it.
Find that clip, that's what I said.
I know he's going to change what he said. That's
okay, do you want to bet right now in front of the whole audience $1,000 that if we go find...
Well, what happened to the $10,000?
Me talking about it in context, that's exactly what I said.
I'll tell you what I can do. I can put the links to each of these in the chat right now. If you give me a moment. Every single one.
So you won't bet that. So it doesn't. So basically, this completely backfired. You got to lead your points twice. They weren't even relevant to geocentrism, and we can recap them very briefly. You brought up the eclipse and how you said.
I like that in the chat there. Just some Glober says, "You don't have $10,000, Witsit." Oh, now it's $1,000.
You straw man that I said that because they had to kind of change it. It disproves heliocentrism.
All right, William. That last name there is a little difficult. Kakillis says Darryl did say that the reason he brings this up is because Witsit's entire presentation was basically, "Trust me, bro." He's showing that Witsit is not to be trusted. Okay.
Lie. I had to correct you. What I actually said was it's a fact that any astronomer will tell you that you have to make more and more measurements closer to the time of the eclipse to actually get the final prediction.
This is a trust me bro right now. Okay, Darryl is completely forcing Witsit to make Darryl's point. Witsit is again doubling down on, if you ask any astronomer about the eclipses, you have to make whatever he's saying, right? This is not the truth. He does not have supporting evidence for this. Because
we don't know exactly what the inclination, angle, etc. of the moon is going to be. That is a fact. That backfired. You ran away from it. Secondly, you thought you had some big gotcha with the still shot picture because you didn't actually understand what I was saying once you took another clip out of context, which is it's actually about moving it across the sphere. If you understood basic geometry, you would understand why. Because at one point, the shadow is going to be further away from the actual object casting the shadow than it is in front of or closer to the apex of the convex surface. So obviously, there's going to be a difference in distance as the object moves in front of the other one, which will distort it.
Look at this the super chat on Modern Day Debate there down on this side here from Zeohi. Says it's honestly weird they have a whole Witsit soundboard to play out of context clips to try to dig up some weird bait that's irrelevant to heliocentrism. All right, I get why Darryl's doing it. Makes sense. And no, it's not weird at all to get quotes from Witsit, because when Witsit does things like he brings up the black swan that has a huge amount of refraction in it, all you need to do is this.
Refraction, which we immediately and adamantly claim is always present because there's temperature fluctuation and atmospheric conditions that are consistently affecting what you perceive.
And then if he brings it up again, when after you say, well, let's have the analysis of refraction, you play this.
Refraction always happens. That's why it's important.
And then if he still doesn't bring up the analysis of refraction, you play this.
Well, if you can't adequately account for refraction, you can't make a claim about the apparent location. Now, can you, Ranty?
And you just keep going.
I'm claiming that you haven't even actually accounted for all the variables, and you're touting your trigonometry that literally hand waves dismiss one of the most important variables when it comes to perception, which is refraction.
You see, flat earthers never do that, but Witsit destroyed every single time that flat earthers ever try to ignore refraction.
And never in your dissecting of the observations do you even account for refraction that we know for a fact to be present.
Wow, Witsit really destroyed every flat earther's ability to ever again talk about observations without refraction.
Refraction increases proportionate to the distance.
And then here's the final one.
When you just throw refraction out entirely, invoking the furthest point away in the image and saying that you don't have to account for refraction and making the baseless assertion it doesn't move it because you showed us some really not very great images where they look to be generally the same is laughable, bro.
Laughable, bro. Borg Emporia says that I need to do a 50-hour mega stream like FTFE. Craig is like, yeah, you should do that. I'm looking at my schedule. Like, when can I put in 50 hours? 50. I don't know if I can do 50. Not just like that's over 2 days, right? Not just being able to do it. It's being able to have the time to do it. I'm busy. I coach Ultimate Frisbee. I work a full-time job and I have a family. So I couldn't do it on a day that I'm working, and I couldn't do it on a day that I'm coaching unless I left for that section of time and went and coached and then came back. And I could do it that way. I also need to sleep. So I don't know. It'd be tough. It'd be really tough. But I'm thinking about how to do it. Maybe not 50. Maybe I could do it. See, the games starting in September, the games are on Saturday morning. So if I started at noon on Saturday, I could go through Sunday late, so I can go to sleep and get to work on Monday. Something like that I could maybe do. Anyway, I'm trying to make it happen. We've got Anurag. Is this a flurfer, I think, here? It says, Darryl, are you here to cope? No, Anurag, so far it's looking pretty good for Darryl. Are you a Witsit fanboy? I love Witsit fanboys. You're so adorable. Liquid Flame says, bring us to the Ultimate Frisbee field on a laptop and a cell connection. Oh, jeez. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Bring on Dapper Dino, says Borg Emporia. Yeah, I would definitely bring on some guests for that. Darryl made his point, and Witsit is still saying, believe me, I win. I was right. Believe me, bro. Exactly. So this, Darryl, all right, this was absolutely genius. Your point was Witsit just has believe me, bro, and he is doubling down on the believe me, bro. Let's get back to it here.
Making it more of an S shape. We verified it. There are dozens of videos where you can watch it actually be distorted. It's completely backfired. Now let's go back to the actual topic of the debate, and I'll ask my question again, because if you think I just have to sit here and listen to you play out of context clips of me all night where I have to continually scold you and then you just run away from it, that's not really what I agreed to. The question is simple. I'm going to give you the floor. It's just a simple question, man. It's pertinent to the actual discussion. Do you have any proof that the Earth is moving around the sun?
First thing is, since all you presented is your word for your presentation, and now we find from your own words, you're just shucking and jiving, right? You haven't presented anything. So it's typical of you, and because I'm not going to let you run from this point. These are your actual words, so people could compare from what you actually said.
Because you just start to see, you're going to be able to know where it's going to be in a few days, more and more so the closer it is to that moment, right? Like you're seeing it moving in its path, and so it's getting closer and closer to where it's going to be, which just kind of shows that their whole facade of how well they understand the sky is a lie.
Now, the funny thing is, you seem to be so happy about quotes when it's somebody else's quotes. When you're talking about Einstein, right? When you're talking about whoever, suddenly quotes are not a thing.
I fully stand behind that quote.
Dang, Darryl, going for the throat.
If you go to my presentation, I showed that the sun is a physical object. I showed the massiveness of the sun by observation. I showed my own picture of the sun where we know that the satellite photos are accurate. I showed that the sun is rotating, took a picture of the sun, and showed that the sun is made of physical objects. Newton's laws dictate, just like how we drop something on the ground, just like how if we look at the planets rotating, how we discovered Uranus, just like how we can look
Neptune.
at the stars, or just like how we can look at the stars orbiting around the center of the galaxy. My whole presentation was evidence.
No.
That we
okay,
know.
so you don't have any proof.
You asked me to answer your question. Now I'm answering. Let me answer.
You don't have any proof.
My whole presentation was the evidence that we know
the sun being a physical object proves the Earth is not in the center of the universe. Explain how that works.
The idea is that mass attracts mass. One of the things.
That's not even what your model claims anymore.
Oh, I love how he thinks he knows the model. Oh, we've got a puppy showing. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right, here we go. Oh, here we go. There's Penguin. Say hello. Don't lick me. I don't need your tongue hitting me. Hello, Penguin. Look right up here. Right there. Believe it or not, this is after. Gross. She got me. This is after she's had her hair cut a little bit across the eyes. She got me. She licked my tongue. All right. That I did not want. Thanks. Gross. Yes, that tongue has been places. I know what dogs do. Ugh. All right.
And you want to talk about obfuscating. Who's obfuscating now?
All right.
Literally not me. Literally not me.
Explain my point. You asked me. You said, stop here and answer this question. I said, no. First, let's finish this.
Oh, fair enough. Let me repeat the question, and I'm just going to let you fully explain it.
Okay.
I asked you, do you have proof the Earth moves around the sun? You listed off a bunch of things that don't prove it at all. One of them was that you showed that the sun is a physical object. Please explain how that's exclusive to heliocentrism.
Explain how. You notice how you changed the question? Shucking and driving.
Same question.
And driving. Can you just be honest and ask a direct question and let me answer it instead of changing the question?
Please explain to the audience how showing that the sun's a physical object is somehow exclusive evidence of heliocentrism.
Exclusive evidence of heliocentrism. Your question is not making sense, man. Let me explain what I'm saying.
Debate, Darryl.
Let me explain what I'm saying.
Witsit is this is the top of the debate. Where is Witsit's exclusive proof? His phrasing of the stationariness of the Earth. Nowhere.
We can go from there. You already asked the question. I was answering it, and now you're interrupting me and changing the question.
Let's carry into the question there, Darryl. Before we get into meta discussion, let's just go ahead and answer.
He's the one that's doing the meta discussion. He interrupted my answer.
I keep on having to ask the actual topic.
All right, we're doing it again, fellas. Go ahead and let's try to focus on the question.
So I'll start again. with what I was saying. My whole presentation is the evidence that the solar system is heliocentric. So I demonstrated or showed that the sun is a physical object. It's not some electromagnetic thing. It's not all these different ideas that I know some of the flat earthers, they probably took pictures of planets and stars and got these blobs. I showed that you can see that it's a physical object and it's moving. I personally took a picture of the sun and confirmed that there's elements in the atmosphere of the sun, that it's a physical object. We know that mass attracts mass from dropping something on the Earth, 9.8 meters per second squared, from looking at the orbits of the planets, from using that understanding to predict that other planets have to be there that we didn't know about, that we can now see with our telescopes. All of these things confirm that gravity is real. Looking at the stars rotating around the center of the galaxy, looking at the galaxy clusters, the bullet cluster, and seeing gravitational interaction. All of these things confirm that gravity is real. Therefore, since the sun is as massive as it is, The only way we can have a orbit is for, and technically they orbit each other, but the mass of the sun is so great that is essentially in the same spot. Therefore, the Earth orbits the sun. Unless you can debunk gravity, right? We know that we live in a heliocentric system. That was the nature of my presentation because I was anxious to get on this topic. That's why I based it on gravity. Right. So let's go.
Yeah, I addressed that argument in my opener. And I explained that even Newton himself, in the very publication that he proposed gravity that you're invoking of mass attracting mass, which is no longer considered admissible at the highest levels of academia in your paradigm. Okay, he explains on the last page.
Yeah, highest levels of academia in your paradigm. Look, Witsit. You're just LARPing as somebody who understands this topic. You don't, right?
That the Earth could, in fact, be in the center of the universe utilizing his theory of gravity. Literally, Newton himself said it. Secondly,
but that was a couple hundred years ago. We've done things since then.
I explained Newton thought the sun was in the center of the universe. So we had the same train of thought that you're proposing. Well, if the sun is really massive, it's the greatest mass, then of course it must be in the center, and that causes the Earth to go around it because the Earth has a smaller mass, the sun has a bigger mass. Therefore, that's how we can say that the Earth is revolving around the sun. He thought the sun was in the center of the entire universe. Then Ernst Mach came along using Newton's actual theory and showed definitively with the dynamics and equations.
Definitively? With dynamics and kinematic equations? Did Witsit review these and understand them? No.
Of Newton's proposal, that if he had have known the sun actually wasn't in the center of the universe and that there was a ton more mass outside of it, then he would know that, for example, distant galaxies and their rotational momentum.
Yeah, throw flat Earth under the bus here, Witsit.
Would actually have overpowered the local assumed gravitational field of the sun. Now, this is me granting you the mass of the sun and all these other things that you actually can't verify. I went into your own backyard.
But you can verify. Witsit. These things have been verified. The motion of the Earth has been verified. You just whistled past it. We can determine the mass of the sun based on the orbital period of the Earth and the radius of the orbit of the Earth. That's how we can get the mass of the sun. That's how we can verify it. We have measured the distance. We have between the Earth and the sun. We have measured the velocity of the Earth around the sun. We know how long it takes. That's all we need to do to get the mass of the sun.
You that you don't understand Isaac Newton at all, and that's not even what's considered valid. And let me share a screen real fast to show you something about Newton. You've said 3 times now that they use this gravity to somehow, just to clarify, I just showed demonstrably, and I will show the quotes if I have to, from the very source you're invoking, it isn't actually exclusive evidence that there's in the center. But I want to say that the more important part is you're basically saying it has predictive capability, which I touched on that as well. I said it's actually Kepler's ratio using radii, right? And that's kinematics, he reverse engineered it. But to not get too lost in the weeds, you said that they discovered Neptune this way.
To not get lost in the weeds, right? Doing math to Witsit is lost in the weeds.
Right. So your whole argument was like, oh, we know gravity is true because they discovered Neptune with it. Do you care if I share screen real quick?
Oh, you can go ahead for sure. But before you go ahead and start, discussing what's on screen here, if Darryl wanted to respond to some of what he just heard.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Fine with him doing his thing. Go ahead.
All right. Awesome. Go ahead there. What's it?
All right. Cool. So I want to.
Right. Let me get a better.
So,
just let me get a better view of that here. So we want to have a little better. There we go.
Just a faint flicker in them or in one of them every time we hear of the triumphant discovery of Neptune, this quote unquote monumental achievement of theoretical astronomy.
So I don't know what this reference is. He didn't cite what he was looking at before he started showing it, but I see 1974 dash the something fort at the end. Don't know what this is. Yeah, Witsit thinks quotes are evidence. Exactly. This is not a measurement. This is not the results of an experiment. This isn't even, I don't know what this is. This is just quotes, right?
Right. So the textbooks omit this, that instead of the orbit, Neptune agreeing with the calculations of Adams and Leverrier, it was so different that Leverrier said that it was not the planet of his calculations. Later, it was thought best to say no more upon the subject. The textbooks omit this, that in 1846, everyone who knew a sine from a cosine was out signing and cosigning for a planet beyond Uranus. 2 of them guessed right. To some minds, even after Leviere's own rejection of Neptune, the word guessed may be objectionable, but according to Professor Pierce of Harvard, the calculations of Adams and Leviere would have applied quite as well to positions many degrees from the position of Neptune. Or Professor Pierce's demonstration that the discovery of Neptune was only a happy accident, and then...
All right, the reference is a book by Charles Fort.
It quotes the American Academic Sciences. And I want to point out, Neptune was observed before the alleged discovery. Tons of people made tons of actual quote unquote predictions of these extra planets, and that even the proposed calculation that supposedly did actually predict it, it could have predicted many different other planets. The person that even is attributed to it thought it wasn't the one that he calculated for. So there's the actual.
All right, we've got from Eric E. Master of Flat Earth Theory, the link. Let's have a look here. The complete books of Charles Fort. There you go. Is this it? So again, who is this? Does he show the actual the works? Okay, so I'm looking at the page numbers here. Witsit on 138 of 1095. And yep. So 138. There you go. So thank you for that. We've got it from Eric E. Master Flat Earth Theory linked it. Thank you for that. And I will I'll download it myself and have a look. Thanks. Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. So, all right, let's get back to what Witsit is saying about it.
Citation, again, you can go look up Professor Pierce from Harvard, and it is called the Proceedings of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. All
right, if you wanted to leave that up, if you want to respond to that, Darryl, while it's on screen.
So you said a whole bunch of stuff. The only thing out of that I can relate to, because I've confirmed the nature of it myself, we agree that given the mass, given the sun is as massive as we know it is, then the Earth we would have the Earth orbiting the sun. Everything else is pretty much still just.
Now, did I don't remember, Darryl? Did you mention Neptune by name, or was this kind of a out of the blue thing that he was trying to distract from?
The whole front of that stuff was your word. Then we have this document that compared.
All right, he did mention Neptune. Okay.
To evidence, like the predictions that we have, is not even worth my time. I've already showed you a trucker and driver, according to your own words. So, no, you're not presenting anything but just your words and something else that you could be getting wrong. So I presented actual observations, actual recordings, actual evidence that you can sink your teeth into. That So you know what? You know something you can do if you actually wanted to get my attention. If you wanted to, why don't you do this? Let us know. Let's see. When is the next time Mercury is in inferior conjunction, given your model of the geocentric solar system? When is the next time Mercury is in inferior conjunction?
Literally any ephemeris you would use to determine that, all but 2 are geocentric.
Wow. That's not correct. Wow. Oh my gosh. Why? Why would he just so blatantly lie? Oh my gosh. VSOP 87 is heliocentric or is it? I think it's heliocentric. Some are barycentric. Wow. That's so dumb. Oh my gosh.
Oh, good. Well, show us the model then. Let's do that.
You want me to show you the list of all the ephemeris that are literally
I want you to show us the
geocentric?
positions of the planets and the sun and how the orbits go and the formulas we can use to calculate that for ourselves.
All right. An ephemeris is a table of the positions of the of things. Specifically, it's about the positions of the Earth, moons, planets, sometimes even asteroids, larger asteroids in the solar system. That's what they are. And then there are different versions of them for different uses. So like they have the VSOP 87, I believe it has the tables in different coordinate systems. And the coordinate system or the transformation doesn't change the physical reality of it. So this is the problem. A geocentric ephemeris, take it for a second, a geocentric ephemeris, which you can do by transposing. That's not the right word, but through a mathematical process, you can put whatever you want in the center just by applying math. That doesn't mean it's actually in the center. But what does this mean for 100% certain? It's not flat Earth. A geocentric ephemeris doesn't match flat Earth. Witless never states atmosphere. It's always atmo, afraid to validate a spherical Earth no matter what. Well, it's not only atmo. He sometimes has accidentally said atmos, but he got scolded by QE after he got demolished by Professor Dave for saying atmos with an S. And so he has corrected, he apologized to his Lord and Master QE and amended his evil ways by not saying atmos anymore and only says atmo now. Yes.
Okay, it's literally just about the periodicity of the planets, and we map them out from a geocentric position. All the ephemeris are geocentric. Your model would claim, oh, well, we do that.
So how are the Ephemerides made, Witsit? How are they made? This is an important thing. They're not made just by guessing, and they're not made by just repeating patterns, because there's much more to it than just repeating patterns. Do I mean a Galilean translation? I meant a coordinate translation. So yeah, it could be Galilean. Well, Galilean, yeah. The point is, you can take a coordinate system, and right, there's an origin on the coordinate system, and you can say, you know what, we just want to put the origin here. So how do we do that? It's just a transformation, right? So and on an XY coordinate system, I can do it. I can do it right here. So here we have a graph paper. We can take and we can say here's there's our coordinate system, right? Here we have the origin, right? That's 0, 0. Right, and so we're gonna go here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So there's 27. Let's say we take 27 there, and we're going to go up 5. 1, the line is shifted up here a little. I didn't get it straight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So there we go. We've got 27, 5. You say, you know what? Okay, that is a Galilean transformation. Right? So let's say we wanted to make this the origin. What would you do? Well, you just take right, take X and Y and modify them by that number. And now your origin is here, right? And did that change anything? If something was here, did that move it? No. If something was here, did it move it? No. If something was moving, right? If you're creating a chart, if say that's happening, right? Or you've got another line here, right? And you do this transformation, does that change these? No, it doesn't. If these are representing something happening in real space, in reality, right? Maybe it's just something happening in a two-dimensional position. You're just doing some two-dimensional charting, right? And you've got something moving in a curve, a car going around a corner, right? You say, well, I'm going to move the coordinate system to here because this wasn't very convenient. This is more convenient. Let's say it's right at the focus of that curve. Well, that might be a more convenient math, math to do, because everything's at the origin. In fact, you're like, you know what? Screw this Cartesian crap. We're going to switch to polar coordinates. It's easier. You can do that, but it doesn't change what's happening here, and it doesn't change how this car is turning. This is the really important thing. If this car is turning, moving the coordinate system origin doesn't change anything about how the car is moving. And that's the only thing that you would get by doing a transform to a geocentric ephemeris. But it's how did this ephemeris get created? So I'll give you an ephemeris, right? So here's the sun, and the ephemeris it's typically for a fixed position in time, and so you've got the orbit of Mercury, and you've got the orbit of the Earth, right? Because Darryl was talking about well, what was retrograde, or some specific thing about Mercury. I don't understand. Darryl knows a lot more about astronomy than I do. So when will it happen? Well, the ephemeris says at this point in time, t equals 1, that Mercury will be here and Earth will be here. And t equals 2, Earth and Mercury will be here. Way out of scale. None of this positions matter. But that's what an ephemeris is going to say. At this time, Earth and Mercury are here. How did they determine that? They determined where they are, not through magic, not through guessing, but by applying the laws of motion, applying Kepler's laws, applying the laws of gravitational attraction. That's how it was done. Now, to get the position of Mercury, yep, you're going to need GR for that. To get the precision you might need, depending on how far in the future you're going to go. But for the Earth, you're fine. Oh my gosh, sloppy. F equals G, M1, M2. Yep, never mind that mistake up there. Over R squared. You're okay to just use, again, it depends on the precision you need, but the precision of the Earth's position will do fine using Newtonian gravity. So precession of its orbit. Oh, the precession of its orbit. Oh, yes. Okay. Doing because it's close to the big G of the solar system. Yes. So the precession being that it changes again. Oh, without understanding what you're talking about, Darryl, I did get you're gonna need general relativity for it. So, and that was not, none of that was determined by guessing, and none of it was determined through geostationary anything. Nothing about geostationary was involved in that.
That for convenience sake, because we're observing it from the Earth, and relatively speaking, it's the same anyway. So any prediction of conjunctions or anything like that would literally be a direct equivalent. It would be equally valid. It would be an equivalent.
Not at all, because the way it was generated is important.
Kinematic prediction. This is like basic stuff. So we have to get back to like.
This is like basic stuff. Well, Austin, the basic stuff is that no geocentrist was able to produce an ephemeris by applying these things that you say they can do, these kinematic equivalences. That's not how it was done.
Can you actually, do you agree that you can't actually like detect and measure with any type of experiment or test that the Earth is actually orbiting around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour? Do you agree that that's impossible to actually detect, measure, or verify with experiment or measurement?
Right. So again, we have still just words. But currently, you can do it. And then we want to try to get into this ephemeral thing about measuring the motion and things. So we're going to go back. So to make sure we're clear.
Darryl, I love it. You did not play his game. You did not take the bait.
You're saying that we're living in a geocentric solar system, which means that all of science is wrong. We could predict and know the position of all the planets, where they're at, when they're going to be there. But we're understanding that you can't do that. You can't show us that model. So between the two, your position goes in the trash bin, and we understand that the Earth that the solar system is a heliocentric system. That's the way that works. That's the way. So you can see, right, that.
Do I concede what?
That you can't do it. You have nothing to offer. The heliocentric wins.
No, I guess you want me to share screen because what I just said is a fact, and no one would deny this that has even a basic. You're saying that it's just where your argument here is that I have to pull up literally everything. That's fine. I will. Like,
go ahead.
That's
And share
pretty
screen
desperate.
Yes, you absolutely need to cite your sources. Why is this something that you should think after how many years you've been doing this? You think that you shouldn't have to? Of course you think you shouldn't have to, because first law of Flurf always wins.
Sure. So I have to actually share the images here, some screenshots. I mean, this is weird because it's well known that we use like an Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate system, and most of the
it's well known.
The actual models used are geocentric. The Ephemeris is literally geocentric, but it's all good. I'll show you.
All right.
Okay.
And we'll remind our audience, we will be doing a Q&A. I'd love to remind people that Super Chats get you priority. And as well, if you like what you're hearing from either of our speakers, we will have them tagged in the description. And that includes in our podcast forum, which all of these debates are uploaded within 24 hours to pretty much every podcast service that you want to name. So if you're listening to one that we're not on, let us know. But whenever you're ready there, Witsit, just let me know.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to make sure the image will be like a decent size, but we'll just go ahead and do it. Share screen.
Hey,
this is weird.
So it's going to be a quote, not evidence, my guess.
Me, but all right, I'm just sharing the image, right?
Yeah, you got the image in our
Oh, all right.
Faces are on.
It's actually not just a quote for a change.
Screen too, so everybody can see our lovely mugs. But you're up and sharing.
These are the geocentric ephemeris data for all the quote-unquote planets and the sun and the moon. All the calculations are by Fred Espenak, the main guy who literally did all of.
So Fred did not generate these ephemerides. If it's VSOP 87, because he uses VSOP 87 and ELP 2000 for the ephemeris for the position of the sun and Earth. VSOP 87 is for the sun and Earth, and ELP 2000 for the Earth and Moon.
That for NASA, all eclipse and planetary alignment predictions for NASA, the main top guy. I did it for years and years and years. And he's also on record literally saying that he just uses geocentric coordinates. Here they are. Here's the key to the geocentric ephemeris of the planets.
Interesting. All right, so now we got to find where this is. Can people get this we'll get the first one here. I want to get this link to this page here. Geocentric ephemerides. The sun, moon, and planets. Now, is this what he actually wants it to be? Espenak. Look at his situation. Look what it says about the distance to the sun. All right. There it is. Okay, this is astropixels. Well, here's one. Here's the second one. Calendar date. So the ephemeris is a table of values that gives the position of astronomical objects in the sky over a range of times, while geocentric means as seen from the Earth's center. The following table is the key to the geocentric ephemeris of the planets and includes a description of each column in these tables. Okay. So that's the second one. Oh, they're both on the same page. All right. Awesome. So let's have a look at his citation here. And now let me get a better view of it for you. There you go. So this is column 1, 2. I don't know what this is referring to. But all right. Let's have a look at this ephemeris here. Okay, geocentric ephemeris for the sun. Okay, so this is the position of the sun in relation to the Earth, which is what you need to do to calculate the position of the sun that it's going to be in the sky, so that you can know what the eclipse is going to look like. Got it. Super. This is, I mean, it's exactly what you need to do to calculate it. So this is the result of a coordinate transform, right? The following table is geocentric ephemeris for the sun every day through the year. It was generated using the JPL. Okay, so this is the source of the ephemeris, the JPL DE405 planetary and lunar ephemerides. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Witsit. This is from NASA, Witsit. So this is a series of ephemerides from NASA, from the Jet Propulsion Lab, which is part of NASA since the 60s, I think. It wasn't part of NASA from the beginning. They got rolled in later. So here we go. Each ephemeris was produced by numerical integration of the equations of motion, starting from a set of initial conditions. Due to the precision of modern observational data, the analytical method of general perturbations could no longer be applied to high enough accuracy to adequately reproduce the observations. The method of special perturbations was applied using numerical integration to solve the n-body problem, in effect putting the entire solar system into motion in the computer's memory, accounting for all relevant physical laws. The initial conditions were both constants, such as planetary masses from outside sources, and parameters such as initial positions and velocities adjusted to produce output, which was at best fit to a large set of observations. A least square technique was then performed for the fitting as of DE 421. Perturbations from 343 asteroids, representing about 90% of the mass of the main asteroid belt, have been included in the dynamical model. So, the physics model included the mutual Newtonian gravitational accelerations and their relativistic corrections, a modified form of the Einstein in-field Hoffman equations. I'm not certain what that is myself. The accelerations caused by the tidal distortion of the Earth, the accelerations caused by the figure of the Earth and Moon, and a model of the lunar librations. So Austin, your citation is this. Right here. First law of Flerf wins every damn time, Austin. Every damn time. This was not developed using a geocentric model. This was developed using the globe, using gravity, using general relativity, using the position of the globe Earth, using tidal forces of the globe. And then a coordinate transform was done to a geocentric position, as if the coordinate transform actually changes reality. That is a reification right there. That is, if you ever wonder, because Witsit loves to say reify, he got it from Oakley. Oakley is the king of using reification incorrectly. Witsit just used it, living on the model, right? The model was developed from reality, and then a coordinate transform was done, and he's put the entire world in the transformed model. Oh dear, Witsit. Every time you are a failure. Every time. But every time you do, I thank you so much for confirming the first law of Flerf. Every damn time. I love it, Austin. Good work. Always.
That for NASA, all eclipse and planetary alignment predictions for NASA, the main top guy that did it for years and years and years. And he's also on record literally saying that he just uses geocentric coordinates. Here they are.
Look at this. Ziohe in the oh my gosh. You don't see that one. Let me get it. He's like Ziohe. He's got it. He loves Witsit. He says the globe model is literally made after observing the consistent night sky on our non-rotating Earth. That's reification. So yes, the globe model is accurate because it's based on a predictable, simple Earth. But there's nothing predictable about flat Earth. You can't. If the Earth were flat, you could just go make some predictions of it. You can't. You got it backwards. Oh my gosh, this is great.
Here's the key to the geocentric ephemeris of the planets. So here's literally everything that you need. And there's, of course, an entire list of all of this. So I guess,
for reference, this is not a list of ephemerises or ephemerides. This is the key to the ephemeris of the planets, right? So column 1, heading. Look, I'll go back to this. This is telling you when you look at an ephemeris, which is what this is, right? When you look at this, column 1 is the date. Here's the key. Column 1 is the date. Why did he put a screenshot of this on here? He didn't understand what this was. When he said all of the ephemerises, what did he say? It's ephemerides is the plural. But I've heard people say ephemerides, which I don't know if that's correct or not. I heard it in the audiobook hold on, I'll show you this. Audiobook of this. I'll give it to you here. This audiobook, Proving Einstein Right, by James Bates. No, it wasn't this one. It was the one by the other. I got 2 of these similar books. I don't like this one as much. The other one's better, but I don't have it handy. Maybe it is. Hold on. Not down here. Where'd I put it? I have too many books, people. I have so many books. I do enjoy. Anyway. So this is just a key to the columns. Why did he even show this? I think it's because maybe I'm wrong. I'm guessing it's because he didn't understand what this was. And he's like, only 2 of them were not geocentric. So maybe he looked at this list. I don't know. But anyway, distance to the Earth. Again, this is throwing flat Earth under the bus. The distance to the Earth is column 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This isn't the same. This isn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 columns, and this has 14. So this isn't the same. This isn't even the same thing. I don't know what this is referring to. Because this is the this page is the geocentric ephemeris for the sun 2011. It's only got 11 columns. This is talking about 14 columns, and they don't match. Anyway, the important thing is the distance of the planet, from Earth in astronomical units. Right there, 149.5 million kilometers. Distance of the planet from the sun in AU. Apparent visual magnitude of the planet. See, none of this works well for you, Chuckles. This all contradicts your dirt pizza, Austin. I can't believe he brought this up. I mean, I can. The reason why he is so confident in bringing this up is because he knows that none of his followers will fact check him. They'll never go do what I just did. Never.
You're just not aware that we use like ECEF coordinate systems to map out the sky?
So you're telling us where things are relative to the Earth. I mean, we see things relative to the Earth. That is not modeling a geocentric. I want you to actually show us how you can model the positions of everything, where they're going to be with a geocentric. Give us the equations. Give us what we can do. Like I said, this is my original question. Let us know when Mercury will next be in infrared conjunction, and show us how you do that. Show the positions of everything.
Okay, that's not
Show us
that's
how
not
you
how
do that.
debate
Where's
works, Daryl. You think you get to come to debate
That's not how debate works, Daryl.
and then you have some pop quiz question and say, hey, I want you to show us mathematically how you're going to predict this specific astronomical event in the middle of a debate. But of course, anyone that's actually interested, they can go look up Andre Assis, a professor, a mathematics professor. He writes in relational mechanics, the specific equations you can use. There are many different ones. You
No, he doesn't.
can also look up Luka Popov with the Neo-Tychonic system. I'm not actually...
Oh, you mean this one here? Right here, this one? Luka Popov? The Neo-Tychonic system? The problem is that it doesn't work. This doesn't... Using Mach's principle, we show that observatory's diurnal and annual motion of the Earth can be just as well accounted for as the diurnal rotation of the annual revolution of the universe around the fixed and centered Earth. Now, that goes... You could sort of, get a little bit through on that, but that doesn't explain the other planets. That doesn't work for the other planets. That doesn't explain why does the sun orbit the Earth now? Why? It's magic. They're magically demanding that the Earth is pinned. It's just, why would the Earth be still when the sun is more massive? They're just, arbitrarily declaring that it's pinned. Anyway, here's somebody addressed it here. I'll give you this one. A refutation of Popov. Luka Popov has attempted to advance Machian physics by maintaining that the heliocentric system must be replaced by Tycho Brahe's geocentric system. We show that while geocentrism relies on Mach's contention that accelerations are relative, this contention is untenable because inter alia, the consequences of an acceleration of an object with respect to a fixed stars cannot be duplicated by acceleration of the stars with respect to this object. And if the universe is a co-rotating observer, if the universe and a co-rotating observer have the same angular velocity, this momentum is detectable because they have different linear velocities. Also, geocentrism precludes the relativity of accelerations and leads to an absolute space with a definite reference points, while Mach argued against absolute space. Popov's results that the force exerted by the Earth on the Sun depends on the square of the Sun's mass, but is independent of the Earth's mass, is paradoxical. And the annual asymmetry in the cosmic microwave background falsifies all geocentric systems. Anyway, I gave you the link for that. Somebody directly addressing Popov, which Witsit just brought up.
I don't have to claim a specific model anyway, but both of those have the equations. You can use a Lorentz magnetic force and equivalent, the dynamic equivalent using Mach's principle. You can actually, you can make all predictions.
He goes in fast mode when he's getting a little nervous.
With the geocentric model, assuming all those distances and masses that you believe in. I don't believe in them. That's why I don't make that claim. We're going to go back to the...
He says he doesn't believe in them, but he just referenced Popov, who used them. That's the thing. All of these different things that he's referencing, then he just says, oh, I don't believe in them. But you referenced them. All these things that you're talking about rely on mass. Mass attracting mass. Right? These geocentrists that he's talking about, they don't disagree that mass attracts mass in our reference frame. So then he's like, oh, but I don't agree with them. But then quit citing them. Oh, you can't.
Fact that matters. You won't even answer. I'm answering all your questions. You're playing clips of me. But you refuse to answer even the most basic question. The first one was, do you have any actual exclusive evidence that the Earth orbits around the sun? The second was, can you at least concede that there is, according to your own paradigm, that there is no measurement, test, or experiment of any kind that you can do on the Earth to detect and verify that the Earth is orbiting around the sun, that you can actually physically measure and test and verify in real life to measure the Earth going around the sun? Do you agree that you cannot actually detect the Earth moving around the sun?
Answer both of those questions. The first question I went over how my whole presentation is evidence that the Earth goes around the sun. The second question, I told you, I've confirmed you're a trucker and driver. All you're doing is giving words, and I'm not going to accept your words. I've already addressed that. And just pointing out a reference that gives the position of everything relative to where the Earth is, that's not the same as what I was asking. That's not the same as showing that in other words, put it like this. You're saying that all of science is wrong. You are saying that. You're saying that the majority of scientists for the last 2,000 years are wrong. Somehow you understand the way the solar system really works, and all of this is wrong. Yet we can point out where everything is, right? You can see the scale workings of it as a heliocentric model. If your model was better, and you really understood it to the point that you were able to overthrow, similar to how when Copernicus came along and started to overthrow the Ptolemaic model, and then when Kepler came along and increase the Copernican model. Kepler was able to give his equation, right? He was able to give his equation, p squared equals a cubed, and he was able to give that equation and calculate all the positions quite accurately of all the planets that he knew about. We're able to take that equation today and, like I said, predict things like finding other planets that was not there. That's the level of detail that you need if you want to claim you're overthrowing a model. You're not doing that. So for you to say you can't expect me to have that, that shows you're out of your league in addressing science. You have no clue what you have to do to even address it. You know, a couple didn't come along and say, hey, you know what, and just say a bunch of words. Or, you know, he actually came with an equation that we were able to quantify where everything was, and the predictive power of his model,
10 seconds.
confirmed it to be real and valid.
All right, go ahead there, Austin, if you want to respond.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, we're sharing screen the whole time. Look, dude, that was really fallacious, okay, in many ways. Obviously,
I know it's fallacious, people, so I'm not going to address it.
so you just continually avoid the actual
But yeah, Darryl, good job.
point. So you're using red herrings. You're using stereotype fallacies, hasty generalization fallacies, poisoning the well fallacies, reification.
Oh my gosh, he just goes through the whole list of every fallacy. Oh, you use fallacies. Oh.
Fallacies over and over and over. And just to say, like, oh, you think you're smarter than everyone else, or so you're basically appealing to majority, appealing to authority, or using a credentials fallacy and a genetic fallacy. That was the most fallacious conglomerate of nonsense I've heard in a long time.
My goodness, it's just, you know, he likes to do that fallacy mudslinging where, you know, you throw enough fallacy names on the wall and you're bound to hit something, right?
Respectfully, you know, but I would really appreciate us actually discuss the point here. So I specifically cited a mathematics professor who has provided all of the equations. I cited
a professor that created did the equation. No, let's see the equations.
Go find it and pull it up. So I have to pull up like a 290 page.
Yes.
You know,
100%.
And find it for you.
You should have done that before the debate. That should have been in your presentation.
But I am citing it. So anyone at home that actually interested in the truth can obviously go and look at everything that I'm saying. Again, though, I've answered all of your questions, even questions that were clearly your attempt to try to bring in flat Earth to this. I've answered clips out of context, all of that. And you can't answer one simple question. And my question was,
stop talking and let's look at it, Brent. Pull it up.
Can we actually physically detect or measure the actual physical motion that you claim exists of Earth's orbit?
Yes, James Bradley, 1727.
Do you concede that you cannot, according to your own paradigm, you cannot actually detect it?
All right, let's pass the ball.
All right, I've already established you're a shotgun driver, so I'm not going to accept what you tell me my model is. I've already said that. Secondly, to address what you said earlier, I wasn't just, when I was talking about the arrogance of feeling you know better than scientists, I was not just pulling something out of my ass, as the saying goes.
Dude, I'm not trying to brag here or whatever, just to make my point. I'm in the higher percentile of IQ. You would get demolished. I would wipe the floor with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Literally, I would demolish that dude. Oh, okay. My 160 IQ disagrees with you. Right, claim I'm stupid. Claim I'm done.
All right, so I will obviously never be debating this guy again.
I will obviously never be debating this guy again. Oh, Witsit got demolished. Oh.
We can't debate.
I would expect somebody who has a 160 IQ
like a woman.
And could wrap rings around Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, you're acting like a woman. Ooh, Witsit.
You know, we'll be able to meet the standards, which you've already conceded. Apparently, you say something like you don't even see why it's even necessary. If you're going to overthrow a model that has such predictive power that we utilize to send satellites to different planets. There's Voyager, there's the Mars orbiter, there's something orbiting the moon, there's the Himrari 8. You want to somehow overthrow all that with no equations.
We gotta give
no predictions.
We gotta give him a chance to respond because, like I said, you are taking up some of your time playing clips of his own words. So we do have quite a Q&A here as well, so that could help maybe steer us in some new direction if you guys wanted to maybe move.
Let's just let's have a little.
Dude, I'm not trying to brag here or whatever just to make my point. I'm in the higher percentile of IQ. You would get demolished. I would wipe the floor with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Literally, I would demolish that dude.
You're getting destroyed, though.
I'm not trying to brag here. Oh, okay. My 160.
Oh, Angel Gamer, that's my point exactly. Using woman as an insult is not acceptable. You don't do that.
The IQ disagrees with you. My genius IQ. Now I know all the answers. I have a genius IQ. I'm just saying, my genius IQ goes out the window. They'll claim I'm stupid, claim I'm dumb, when my IQ literally proves that that's not the case. I'm not trying to brag here.
Not trying to brag here. Darryl, that was genius. Absolutely genius. I know where you got that from. I'll give it to everybody. It's on my I think I have a playlist. Let me see if it's on. I'll make sure it's on the playlist. It's not. All right, hold on. I have a playlist called Witsit Word Salad. I'll put it in there. There you go. And then I'll get the other one that I'm going to play right now for us all. And I'll make sure that's on the playlist as well. It's not. All right. Here it comes. All right. Let's...
And they'll say, oh, you just can't understand math. And I literally used to get accused of cheating in my algebra honors class, right? Because I wouldn't show my work and I'd be the first done, and she thought I was cheating. And I'd have to go, she'd give me a new piece of paper, a new test, and I'd just breeze through it in front of her again, and to prove I wasn't cheating. And then she'd end up accusing me of cheating again, and numerous math classes this actually happened, but it doesn't matter. I'm certainly not trying to brag.
Yeah, like when I was good at algebra and I would just like breeze through algebra and do it in like 2 steps.
You should go and talk to some of my teachers. I used to get in trouble because they said I was cheating on my algebra because I didn't have to work it out.
But I had like an aptitude for math. Like if I sat down with you guys when we were in high school and Algebra 2 honors, I would have smoked you, dude.
I'm certainly not trying to brag.
I used to finish long form algebra without showing the work.
But I literally have an aptitude for math, bro.
I have an aptitude for math.
I'm so tired of people saying I can't do math, dude. I scored like incredible on my math entry exams and the college preparatory classes and stuff like that. And full ride to private university and stuff.
Honestly, I just got a full ride to play football.
But I literally have an aptitude for math, bro. And dude, it's well known that I have like an aptitude for math.
I'm certainly not trying to brag.
I got a scholarship to a private university.
The scholarship to the private university he got, as he said there, was literally just to play football. But he loves to brag about this full ride he got in relation to how smart he is. But it was just to play football. All right, and I'll give you one more here.
I think I've done pretty well in the debates, and typically the opponents are not all that worthy, humbly.
I have a feeling some of these are going to be relevant shortly.
In there.
Just think about how insane that is. But Ryan, think about how insane that is that he hasn't answered one question. So like I have one simple question. It's actually about the debate. He's tried to bring up everything but that and then play clips. So this is really weird, but I will just tell the audience, because there are people who actually want the truth and there are people that just hate me and will pretend you won no matter what, and they really like when you gaslight and you do all these weird little tactics. But this is the epitome of bad faith, right? That's what you're demonstrating.
He's crying. I love it. Cry.
But it is a fact that according to relativity, which is the currently accepted consensus of the heliocentric model, that there is kinematic equivalence of the Earth being the center of the universe. This is just a well-known and established fact. To quote Einstein, I've come to the conclusion.
But kinematics doesn't matter because you need the forces. Kinematics doesn't include the forces. When we're looking at the reason why it happens, kinematics doesn't give us anything. We need the dynamics.
And the no obstacle experiment can actually detect the motion of the Earth, the orbital motion of Earth, though the Earth moves around the sun. He also then went on to say that we've established that no terrestrial experiment can actually detect the
terrestrial. I already covered that.
Motion of the Earth. Specifically, he said that's because of Michelson-Morley and subsequent measurements. And he said this is well-known consensus within your position. Just to claim that I'm somehow unreliable or whatever, it doesn't matter. If I have to actually pull up special relativity and general relativity and his letters, I can do that. I will happily do that. But what's happened is every time I bring up sources that you claim I don't have and I just made up, you literally avoid it.
He hasn't brought up these sources yet.
And just go past.
What wasn't he going to show these things a little bit ago? It's always his thing. He's like, I'm going to bring it up, but first let me talk for 30 minutes.
Like it didn't happen. So these are all little games. Right. And if that's the audience wants to know if you have proof that the Earth moves around the sun. That's why we're here. Do you have actual measurement of the claimed 66,600 mile per hour orbit of the Earth?
So just for the interest of, like you said, if you don't mind sharing that stuff, it might be a good idea to move into the, like some new territory if we can. If not, then it may be better just to move into Q&A, because it does seem like we're revisiting the same cycle here, and we're not really moving past this. So unless, like I say, I do want to give Austin a chance if he wants to push us into some brand new territory that we haven't gotten to explore for our discussion tonight that maybe you wanted to touch on. It's totally up to you. You're on mute, Witsit.
Sorry. Okay, I'll share this real quick. This is, it's just, I don't remember the exact location of the PDF or whatever. This is one of the equations showing, actually, this is based on his Ptolemy section of the paper. He says, we now surround the test body with a spherical shell at rest. So he's literally talking about the Earth in the center position. This is him breaking down the Machian principle.
All right, so, this is Relational Mechanics by, what's this guy's name? I forgot.
Principle. Here's one of the mini equations. He breaks down. There's it's analogous to Newton's second law.
All right. You'll notice the radius. You'll notice mass. You'll notice G. All right. All these things, confirming gravity. Witsit. Again, throw flat Earth under the bus there, buddy.
Motion. He comes down here to explain. I just don't know exactly where it is. He comes down to show the exact equation using something akin to a Lorentz magnetic force. He also
a Lorentz magnetic force. Why did he say magnetic in there? A Lorentz force has both an electric and a magnetic component. So by saying magnetic in that sentence shows that I don't think he quite knows what a Lorentz force is. Right? It's both. You can't have Lorentz without magnetic. So it's redundant to say it. Let's see. Do I have it bookmarked still? Oh. No, this is the statics. Not statics, sorry. The electrostatics.
Shows exactly the difference in Newtonian and relativistic kinematic and dynamic equivalences. You claim there was no model. This is one of many. And so I will...
One of many? How many? There should just be one.
We'll pull up another one.
Well, before you go ahead, let's give Darryl a chance to respond if he would like to do so.
Surely. Here's the thing with it. You said that you can get 9.8 meters per second squared without taking into account gravity and the mass of the Earth, just from a kinematic equation, separately from the mass of the Earth and gravity. And you could confirm that you said that.
Yeah, you can use a kinematic equation. I didn't say that in this debate because that's not...
Kinematics doesn't adjust. You can measure it. Kinematics will measure, not predict.
Not what this is about at all. But yes, of course, you can use a kinematic equation. You can use time, height, initial velocity of an object. This is well known, and you'll get.
I'm saying you're saying you can do it without having to worry about gravity, without having to worry about Newton's laws. The kinematic.
Well, you don't seem to know. You don't seem to know what gravity is. For starters, secondly, you don't seem to know that 9.8 meters per second squared is just the quantified effect of the rate of fall. It isn't the claimed cause whatsoever. So that's completely irrelevant that objects fall at 9.8. You're claiming
this is irrelevant.
And this is the elephant in the room. You're still like 7 steps behind, where I actually said if I were to grant you gravity, even Newtonian or Einsteinian, within both of those paradigms, if you actually understood them, which I do not believe that you do, you would know there is a kinematic and dynamic equivalence. I then quoted then cited multiple people, including Andre Assis.
He likes to say that there is a dynamic equivalence. I've never seen this, though.
He's a mathematics professor that we're looking at right here. And then there's that is relational mechanics. There's also on Luka Popov, which he posed a Newtonian neo-Machian analysis of planetary motion of bodies, and that is in the European Journal of Physics. He shows the math, okay, and there are multiple other ones. So, but I don't have to make a specific claim about a model.
Yes, you do.
You're claiming it's impossible. I show that's not
100%
true. So why is it that, like, why is it you can't just address? It seems like it's a game to you or something. Do you agree, Einstein? Okay, do you think that relativity is true?
I want to address your point. Give me a chance to address the first thing I was supposed to address, which will include that as well. I want to actually share my pad right now, right?
Sure thing. Let's
let me see if I can do that. One moment here.
Yeah, no worries. It's always fun. We can punch into some new territory. So,
now keep in mind, you just said that we don't have to worry about gravity and Newton. We could just use a kinematic equation because the gravity G is just the effect, and so on and so forth. I want to show you and everyone else how wrong you
are. All right. I have a feeling this is the good part.
And why I don't trust what you say about relativity and things like this. Okay, so we know from Newton's laws that everybody can see this, right? We know that F equals ma. We also know that the force of gravity equals big G m over r squared, right? So this would be the force of gravity. This would be acceleration on the other side. Now we know that these two forces are going to equal. So we would have ma g m over r squared. Right, the m's will cancel because we're talking about the mass of a certain object, and then what we have here is A equals G m, which is the mass of the Earth. Since we're talking about gravity on the Earth's surface, r squared is the radius of the planet. If we input these numbers, we get 9.8. Do you concede that, or do you want me to actually type the numbers in?
Of course, that's irrelevant.
Do you concede this, or do you need me to type in the numbers and show it on the camera?
Oh, of course.
I think I already typed it in. Let me just show
There's no concession. There's no concession.
I'm leading to a point because I actually went through the numbers earlier just
to irrelevant.
Make sure. But this is the equation I just put in just now. If you could see that, maybe you can't see it. 9.8 meters per second squared when you put that in. Now, and that's going to be G. Now, you said you're a math whiz, and in school you did math and you can pass the test and not have to write the answers down. So why don't you tell me, how would you integrate this? What would be the proper way to integrate this?
No, dude, Ryan, why are you not moderating? Do you see that all the guy is doing is intentionally avoiding every single aspect of the actual debate in the subject, every point that I've made? He came here in complete bad faith, has played clips of me out of context, has tried to do anything but actually have a debate, and now he's like, hey, can you tell me how to do a math equation? Do you not see how this is?
You could just say, to be fair, you could just say no, but
on me because he couldn't even get close to discussing this conversation.
I'm getting to a point, but since you said that,
no, you're not. No, you're not.
Okay,
no, you're not.
All right, I'll give you 15 seconds to try to.
Used to get accused of cheating.
Oh no!
In my algebra.
Look what he's doing.
Because I wouldn't show my.
That's why I said that. You said you used to pass all the tests, but we showed you can't.
What does that have to do with the debate, Darryl?
Let me keep going. You can't do it. I'm gonna keep going.
What does that have to do with the debate,
Darryl? You said in school and you're a math whiz and you can do it, but I showed you can't. No, I'm going to show people how to do the integral, and I'm going to show you where kinematic phrases come from.
Dude, I'm about to leave, Ryan. I'm just going to let you know.
I'm going to take my toys and leave.
Like a child, and we're just going to sit here for
1 second there.
Oh, this is beautiful, Darryl.
I just put him on mute, but it's yeah. So what's going on with it? What are you feeling? You want to
respond? You're sitting here. It's obvious what's going on. This guy is literally just being a joke at this point. He's trying to operate 100% in bad faith. So what does this have to do with the debate? Nothing. He's still playing clips of me out of context to try to get some gotcha or make me look bad about something. Nothing to do with the debate. What? So I don't know why this. How is this not weird, Ryan?
Well, I think, if...
I've been extremely patient. He's played 7 clips of me.
As I say, by your own opinion, and I'm not going to tell you exactly how I feel about it, but, if it's bad optics, then, that's going to play out in the long
but the point is that it's just, I don't have to just sit, I didn't just come here to just...
The bad optics is Witsit crying like a little baby. Oh, he's doing math.
Sit here and listen to the guy constantly play clips of me.
That is fair. I would ask Darryl if you can refrain from playing any more clips of Witsit. He's here now. He's going to talk to you. There's other spaces we can go and make commentary on clips that people have discussed. But I do think that I do think it has been tolerated to the point here. It's not. It's obviously not something that's Witsit's enamored by here. So let's just try.
I mean, anyone that watches this and would be like, "Oh yeah, Darryl, get him," or "Witsit, stop crying," they're just awesome about it. I don't care about that. I tried to come here in good faith. I've asked the questions multiple times. Do you have actual evidence that the Earth is orbiting around the sun? Can we detect or measure it? I've consistently provided the evidence. You've tried to get gotchas. You've constantly played clips of me. You've constantly ducked my questions, but asked me questions. I answer your questions. I showed you were wrong about Neptune. Showed you were wrong about Newton. Showed you were wrong about Einstein. Showed you were wrong about all of your claims, and you're not addressing the single question I have. So do you not see why that would be frustrating? Like, you don't have any.
Oh, we know why it's frustrating, Witsit. We know.
Juice over me. You're not superior to me. You don't get to come and just dismiss anything I say with ad homs and then continue to try to pepper me with gotcha attempts. It's just disrespectful. I've been patient and sat through it for quite a while now. So I'm not just going to.
This is good. Matters Now. Matters Now says integration is important to understand gravity, Witsit. If you don't understand it, you don't understand gravity. After showing Matters Now.
Continue to do it.
All right.
You know, like this is the only scenario where this guy gets to act like he can like somehow denigrate me like that.
I think yeah, your request to not play clips of yourself is fair. I think it's just not coming across very well.
Anymore?
I would ask that just as a courtesy, since it's not being appreciated on this end. Of course, we're hearing that, so I think that's just a sign of respect. So if you can explain to us, Darryl, what we have here in front of us, and then I think maybe I should go with my best instinct and move into that Q&A to try to push us into some new territory. And thank you, Witsit. Like I said, I'm sorry if you're feeling frustrated. That's definitely not what I want for you. So,
but I'm just saying, anyone that watches it knows what he's doing. So there's this unspoken thing that if it's a flat earther, you can just do whatever to him, right? You can just, and that's not actually correct. I didn't have to take this debate with you, Darryl. You know, I tried to come here and knowing it would probably be bad faith, and it's whatever. We don't keep talking about it. We don't have to keep talking about the meta.
No worries.
Obviously, we can't have the discussion about the actual evidence. He doesn't know how to address any of it. Well, that's why he's like desperately trying to discredit me with clips of things I've said, and it's just weird.
All right. Well, let's try to move like I say, past this. If we can explain to the audience what we have here in front of us, Darryl, and then Witsit will give you a chance to respond to what he's presenting here.
What I've shown is Witsit is wrong. This is a kinematic equation, which is actually an integration of gravity based on Newton's laws. This is a kinematic equation, which is the integration of the first equation. I showed you wrong. When you use the kinematic equations, you're not avoiding gravity. It's not some kind of output. The reason why gravity outputs, if you find the proper time and the proper distances and the proper speed, is because it was derived from gravity in the first place. You're wrong. So I'm not going to listen to you tell me this is what your model says. This is what
you dropped the mass out. Wait, did you drop the? Did you drop mass out?
You're cutting me off now. You're cutting me off now.
You dropped your own dynamic claimed cause out of your equation.
The reason why I'm not going to listen to you when you tell me this is what relativity does.
Witsit doesn't understand integration.
And this is what your model says. And you can't even understand this basic equation. You didn't even know that this is where the kinematic equations come from. And I'm going to believe you understand the equations in that paper you showed me? No. And that's all I have to say.
Cool. Now I get to destroy you. So literally what you did was show and prove my point, which I already said, that literally Newtonian dynamic equations are basically reverse engineered from Kepler, and he just placed the M inside of it, placed the mass. You just showed that you were...
Oh my gosh, Witsit. You should have known better than to talk at this point on this topic. Oh my gosh.
Removed it. You removed your own dynamic claim, showing that it actually boils down to simply a kinematics, which is just seeing how things move and based on their periodicity, writing out the ratio.
Did you hear him say, did you drop gravity? There's a G in both of those equations.
Not the claimed cause of gravity whatsoever. You proved my point right there. You proved my point, and I will now show what I was actually talking about, which is a kinematic equation showing how you can easily get the 9.8 meters per second squared, and you don't need anything to do with gravity that you believe in. So here's a simplified kinematic equation when the initial velocity is 0. So you have height equal.
Oh my gosh. He doesn't realize. He has no idea that Darryl just derived that formula from gravity. Oh my gosh. Oh, he's such an idiot.
Equals 1/2 AT2, solving for acceleration, A equals 2h over t squared. Sample values, example 1. Here you go. You have 10 meters, 1.43 seconds. Using the equation to solve for A, you get 9.78 meters per second.
Just for reference, kinematics is something you covered in high school physics. Pretty sure Witsit did not take physics in high school. In most districts, most schools, it's optional.
Squared. This is a simple kinematic equation. So you objectively, you can get 9.8 meters per second squared based.
Wait a second. What was all these things he just popped up? Hold on. What?
So you.
What is this? What is this doing in his slide presentation? What? What is this? I don't know what this is. Why is this in his presentation? Is this his girlfriend? That's not Kai. By the way, that is not Kai. The name of the photo. Hold on. This photo has a name. Is that, I mean, it looks like him to me, but I don't know if that's him. I don't know. That photo is, hold on. I got to make sure. You see at the top of the screen there, it has a name. And the name starts with the date. Yeah, all right, the date. 2023-02-21. So that was February 21 of 2023. I don't know who that is. Next to him. No idea. Why is it there? Is that him? I don't think that's Witsit though. In 2023, that wasn't Witsit. I have no idea. That's just funny. What is this doing in the slideshow? Whatever.
Objectively, you can get 9.8 meters per second squared based, because that's just an effect. It's just how fast things typically fall. Okay, no one's disputing that. We're disputing the claimed cause. Your own equation showed that you actually had to remove the dynamic cause, which is supposedly mass, out of the equation. How does that help you?
All you've done with it. Let me share my screen.
This is great.
I mean, it's amazing that you're still harping on this after I've already showed that you're wrong. All you've done is you've taken this kinematic equation that I just showed that it directly comes from Newton's laws. You just took this kinematic equation, and what happens is if you pick a position where it's not moving, so velocity is zero, you put a zero for velocity, and that goes away. And let's say the reference point that you pick, you call that point zero. So that becomes zero. And then you get the thing that you just had, which was h equals 1/2, and it just had an a instead of g, t, and I forgot to put my square there, squared. All this is an integral of gravity. So the thing that you think is some kind of separate kinematic equation that's not dealing with gravity, this is what you're using ignorantly without knowing what you're doing.
That's genius.
So of course I'm not going to listen to you when you tell me something else is I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that you think you can overthrow heliocentrism when you don't even realize you didn't even recognize that this is the equation that you were using.
Dude, that's my whole argument, Darryl. So you don't get it. This is embarrassing, but I'm going to help you here. Okay, you just had.
Oh, let the pompous, arrogant narcissist talk again. It's glorious.
To remove the supposed dynamic cause from your own equation, meaning all you're left with is kinematics. That's the whole point. Kinematics is just how objects move in relation to others. For example, quantifying how fast something falls. That has nothing to do with the supposed cause being mass. So you thought you had some gotcha that you could turn that equation into a kinematic equation. And literally that was my point.
That you could turn that into a kinematic equation. He shows the derivation of it. I don't think Witsit knows what a derivation means either.
That completely backfired, which shows that you actually have to cancel out the claimed cause, mass, and it just results in a kinematic equation. And that's literally what my whole point was. And all of this is a red herring and a deflection away from the actual point, which is that you can't even.
Oh, this is directly to the point. His kinematic, his you can get gravity from kinematics. It's the other way around.
Provide any type of evidence of actual measurement of the Earth orbiting the sun whatsoever. You didn't acknowledge that parallax and stellar aberration and retrograde, which you all invoked, are not in any way exclusive to heliocentrism.
He actually didn't. Darryl did not talk about parallax aberration. Right? Right? Did you, Darryl? You didn't at all. But he just assigned. Maybe he was expecting that you were going to. But you didn't.
There's a kinematic equivalence. You didn't address that I showed the dynamic equivalence with multiple equations. You didn't address that even Newton said that using gravity, his gravity, that it could actually be in the center. You didn't address what Einstein actually said.
You don't need to address random quotes. Right? Witsit cried like a little baby when you randomly quoted him. And here he is randomly quoting scientists without getting the correct understanding of it.
You didn't address Michelson-Morley in the error margin, which I predicted in the opener you wouldn't even get close to touching. So you have done nothing but try to get a gotcha. Your big gotcha right there completely backfired. It showed that you had to remove and cancel out your own claim.
The hubris, the misplaced hubris here is glorious.
same dynamic mechanism, which is mass, to just end up getting a kinematics, which of course, if you knew how it was created, you would know that's of course what's going to happen, because that's what Newton did, took Kepler's kinematics and then just threw an M in there and said, I think it must be God doing it.
Let's pass the ball.
I actually have the equations from my actual book right here. So these are the kinematic equations. If you get this book, Physics for Scientists and Engineers, you'll see that the kinematic equations I have are the same thing here. I'll go back to my screen. I was rushing, so I forgot to write a 2 there. But going back to my, so take a look at those equations. If you go to Physics for Scientists and Engineers, those are the kinematic equations. That's what they're called. If you look at the 216, that's the, and I'll actually write the numbers next to the ones on my page when we go back. I'll write 216 by the 216 one, and I'll write 213 by the 213 one. So let me stop sharing my screen on my laptop, on my laptop, and go back to my pad. And you can see that these are the kinematic equations that you'll find on any online site, including the one that he pulled up himself. He just put 0 in for velocity. You can see that these are the same equations. 213 was the first kinematic equation, and 216 was the second. If you actually put this in any calculator that knows how to do integrals, since Witsit wasn't able to, and you actually take the integral of these things, you'll see that that's what you get. You're wrong.
You literally prove my point again, which is that your claimed support for the alleged dynamic claim, I'm starting to think you don't know what dynamic and kinematic means and what the difference is.
Oh my gosh.
But you're claiming a dynamic cause, mass attracting massive force. That's
he's talking math with somebody that understands math. Oh, this is so funny.
Archaic in your own paradigm anyway. You had to cancel out the actual causal mechanism of your dynamic claim, and then you end up just being left with a kinematic equation, which was my entire point. Yet your point was actually invoking that alleged dynamic causal mechanism to prove your position. Yet you showed math that literally eliminated it and proved my point. And again, let's see if you can actually answer this question. Do you have any, or do you concede that within your paradigm, it is admitted that you could never...
Oh, he goes back to his script.
...actually detect, measure, and verify via direct measurement that the Earth orbits the sun from the Earth, that you can never do it. It's never been done.
All right, we got William Kakilahas. Sorry, William. Says, I just found Newton's quote. It is only about the periodic times. It does not say the Earth can be geocentric. Could you post that? Post that in here? This is Witsit's earlier thing talking about claiming what Newton said.
Right. So I'll address all of those in order. First of all, if you take a feather and a bowling ball and put them in a vacuum chamber, I'm sure you know that they fall at the same pace. And you can see that they fall at the same pace.
Relatively speaking, there's not really that many times that's been done, but it's pretty close, yeah.
Okay, that's why mass cancels in the equation, because everything falls at the same pace in the gravitational field. Therefore, that's where the kinematic equations come from. Secondly, I've already shown that you're a shucker and driver. You can't understand basic integration. You didn't understand that the kinematic equations were actually integrations of Newton's laws. So I'm not going to believe you when you tell me this is what your model says. Done. I'm ready for question and answer.
All right, I think it would be a good idea.
Let me just rebut that.
Right quick, if you don't mind there, Austin.
So he's way off to the side of his screen there. You see that? I don't know why. Is it just so he can show his name in the background there? That his living room wall has his name on the living room wall. And it's not just his name, but it's his name with a narcissistic, prideful, hubris claim that he gets it, but he doesn't.
So, dude, you have it backwards. You're saying I didn't know that one came from the other. That was my whole point. I said it very clearly. I hope you watch this back, and I hope that the audience caught it. I
caught it. Witsit. What a mess you are.
That even in its origin, Newton simply took Kepler's kinematic equations, which are just looking...
Kepler's kinematic equations now?
...at how things move in the sky. And
oh, yeah, Kepler's laws. Okay.
Their periodicity, and then actually mapping out the ratio of motion, kinematics. He took that and then just replaced a variable with m. He just added m into the kinematics. That's why it just...
Oh my gosh. Just show how ignorant you are there, Austin.
...cancels out, and you're left with kinematics, because that's fundamentally all that it actually is kinematics, which means it doesn't in any way verify any dynamic claim. To even get the actual solution, you have to...
So then why does Witsit claim kinematics is how you can determine the cause of 9.8 meters per second squared. That's the thing. This is his claim, right? He claims that's how you get the magnitude of the downward acceleration.
Remove the dynamic claim, which is mass, which is the supposed causal mechanism. And I'll just tell the audience, since he won't answer it, it is objectively the case that due to Michelson-Morley, Dayton-Miller, and subsequent replications that within the current heliocentric model, it is conceded, and in fact fundamental, that you can never actually detect or measure the Earth moving around the Earth.
It's just he's just saying his religious mantra at this point.
Because the Earth moving around the sun, because of relativity, and specifically that time slows down and distances contract, meaning they have no evidence, it's unfalsifiable, begging the question, and they can't actually verify their own claim.
All right. Well, thank you so much to both of our speakers, Darryl and Witsit, for being here. A couple of people are upset in the live chat that I seem to come off as a kind person. Oh, it's so offensive to some. But honestly, my job here is to try to.
Okay, that's enough of Ryan talking. So this was the end of the debate. It's an hour and 17, and the debate goes to 3:22, 3 hours and 22. So we have quite a bit more of Q&A. So here's my plan on this debate. Tomorrow, Darryl's coming on. Darryl and I are we're gonna talk about it. Darryl, if there's specific things you want to play, clips you want to go over, anything in any part of it, even the debate or the questions or the after show, this is your chance. Anything that you like, grab those. We'll just talk about it. We'll have a good chat. The after show, I think, was I'm told was quite something. So I might review the after show. I might review the Q&A. We'll see. What are you interested in? Comment in the right now, or comment in the video. You know, the comment section of the video. What should I review? Both the Q&A and the Matters Now dumpster fire, or one or the other. What's your interest? I'll use that to gauge a little bit what I do. So Aragorn, I'm sorry I don't have one, but I appreciate that. It's very kind of you to suggest something as silly as that. Anyway, Max says the after show is mostly Witsit crying about us calling him anti-Semitic and trying to make an anti-Semitic without saying it argument, so we stopped calling him anti-Semitic. Man of War says, I sent a super chat to Modern Day Debate asking Witsit to explain kinematic equivalences in his own words to show his math. Spoiler, he didn't answer. So yeah, that's the kind of thing, Man of War. The Q&A are usually pretty good, so I probably will. I'm just saying, I probably will. But if people are like, nah, don't do this one, or do this one definitely. So we got my Aragorn saying the Matters Now after show is awesome. So okay, tomorrow will be Darryl. Day after, if I do anything the day after. Wednesday. So there's hold on, let me check. I may have a debate Wednesday earlier in the day with a guy that goes by Globe Slayer, who hasn't updated me. He said he's going to have an update for me today, but he didn't. So anyway, maybe Wednesday I'll have that debate with Globe Slayer. Anyway, so the Candyman for $5 says, hello, MC Toon, random question for the Conspiracy Tunes channel. What happened to the other guy that used to host the videos? That would be Conspiracy Cats, who also had a channel called Baldy Cats, who now has a channel called Culture Cats. So he had started a new channel called Culture Cats, and he wasn't doing Flat Earth debunking anymore. And he had gone, I think, a year or more than a year without really doing anything on it, on either the Conspiracy Cats or Baldy Cats channels. And he's like, I don't want to just have them sit here. How about I give them to some people that I like, and that will do good stuff with them. So he contacted myself, a few others, and Mr. Sensible. In the end, after it was Mr. Sensible and myself that he decided to give the two channels to, Conspiracy Cats and Baldy Cats. We rolled dice. Literally, it was a flip of a coin on which channel went to which person. And so that's what happened. So then I decided I'm going to do live streams on this channel, and I'll do pre-recorded stuff on the other channel, because they're different audiences. The people that really like these long live debates, you guys here, you're awesome. I love this. This is awesome. So that's why I have this channel where I do live shows. The other one is pre-recorded videos. It's I think pretty much everybody that's here, all you guys, like that as well. I think you're mostly subscribed. If you're not, and you're wondering, hey, are there other things that I do? Then Conspiracy Tunes. It's linked in this description. So that's how I have it set up. So anyway, Culture Cats. If you go to my Conspiracy Tunes channel, all of my videos have a link to the Culture Cats channel, so you can find that there. Or people could, if you could drop Culture Cats in the description here. He was super generous to give that channel away, and I'm very grateful to him. So if anybody, if you could drop that in there. If you're not subscribed to Culture Cats, you better fix that right now. And he is a school teacher, and he very smart guy, and funny, way funnier than this guy. Kango44 says Witsit says in a lot of his interactions, I'm gonna expose you. Well, he was well and truly exposed in this one. Yes, Darryl, that was great. That was just amazing. Stephen McCullers says, save your money now, perpetuate the live stream. The long live stream, the 50, I don't know if I can do 50. Rick says, lost in the weeds equals don't know what comes next. Yes, Witsit, when talking with Globebusters, has said that math is just getting lost in the weeds. You can't really get far in science without doing some math. And Witsit can't do math. So Witsit can't get very far in science. That's the reality of it. And really, even more so, physics. You can't get very far in physics without math. Right? You look at all the laws of physics, and with very few exceptions, they're all math. Even the ones that we don't think of as math are math. Like the laws of thermodynamics have math. The laws of motion have math too. So we got Papa Russian says Austin is the Rockwell turbo encabulator, but for dumbasses. Yep. He is. Mr. E-Man gifted 10 memberships. Thank you very much, Mr. E-Man. And if you received one, make sure you thank him too. Alexander L. says Witsit goes full anti-Semite at the end of the debate. Apparently that was in the Matters Now debate after show, which I most likely will be reviewing. That was pretty long. This 1 hour segment has gone 3 hours. So it'll have to be a little more view and a little less response, but we can do that. Kango44 says, when you have nothing, then just list all the fallacies. Wanker. He did. He does so many. Kango44 again says, did Witsit get his IQ test done at a circus? Is it a clown score? How many times he said, he's so full of himself.
Dude, I'm not trying to brag here or whatever just to make my point. I'm in the higher percentile of IQ. You would get demolished. I would wipe the floor with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Literally, I would demolish that dude.
You're getting destroyed, though.
I'm not trying to brag here.
Oh, okay. My 160 IQ disagrees with you. My genius IQ. Now I know all the answers. I have a genius IQ. I'm just saying, my genius IQ goes out the window.
They'll claim I'm stupid, claim I'm dumb, when my IQ literally proves that that's not the case.
I'm not trying to brag here.
He's not trying to brag here, people. He's not trying to brag. Nope. Not trying to brag. Rick says he thinks the IQ is cumulative, so he took the test twice. I don't know. How about 4 times? Steve Revel says, good afternoon, MC Toon. Missed the start, catching up quick, but after listening for 30 seconds, I was way ahead of Witsit. Yep. CV McCullers says, foosball, that's the devil. Try dangerous stuff. What are you talking about, foosball? Was somebody in the chat talking about foosball? I'm not. I kind of like foosball. I'm not very good, but Ultimate is my preferred sport. Went to a tournament this weekend. Now, I wasn't playing. My kids were playing. I spent the weekend outside watching people throw discs around. CV McCullough again says it's never mentioned that animals not feeling constant motion would be necessary for their existence. Motion sickness isn't good for heredity traits. Yes, we don't feel constant motion. That's another thing that flat earthers, like, it's a default because we don't feel. Like, why would you feel constant motion if that's where we grew up, right? We began and ended, all life in this. Why? Constant motion, feeling it would be disorienting. It would be a mess. You wouldn't want to anyway, but you can't measure without looking outside yourself. You can't measure constant speed anyway. That's the whole point of relativity. Right? You're in a ship. It's Galilean relativity. You're in a ship, no windows. The ship is on calm seas. This is going back to Galileo. You don't know if you're moving. And if you are moving, you don't know how fast you're moving. Same thing on an airplane. You can feel the slight vibration of the airplane. You can feel turbulence. But on an airplane that's a current airplane that's going at maybe 35,000 feet at 500 miles an hour versus a Concorde. Concorde was at a higher elevation and was moving much faster. But because it's at a higher elevation, it was a smoother flight. There's less turbulence. So if you're in a closed room in an airplane today, a modern airplane at 35,000 versus a Concorde at whatever height it went, and you were to say to a person, now, how fast do you feel you're moving? You probably, I'm just guessing, that if you didn't dampen the sounds and stuff, you might feel faster on the 35,000 foot airplane because of the secondary motions, the turbulence and the slight whatever, than on a Concorde. You don't feel motion, constant motion. Oh, CV McCullough, he had a football scholarship. Waterboy reference. Foosball. That's the devil, try dangerous stuff. I think that's what we're talking about. Okay. Kypder, KYPDR, says Witless is so dumb. He is. He's so full of himself. And he got so embarrassed. That clip, Darryl, that is genius. That needs to be standalone. Man of War says Witsit crying instead of doing math. Perhaps this is what he actually did in school as well. For how much he brags about his ability with math, you'd think he wouldn't have been bothered by that at all. But he did algebra in high school. He didn't talk about anything past algebra, did he? My guess is that he didn't take anything past algebra. I don't know. Maybe just like physics, the math class, the senior year math class in Tennessee was not mandatory. He was at a private school too, so I don't know. Right. My senior year, I took calculus. And then he went to college and he dropped out of the first semester. So he certainly didn't finish calc. We know that. So you doing an integral? Yes, that's gonna tear him up. He has no idea. CV McCullers says, how does Witsit high five his friends? He claps. I hope you get that. Leslie Rower didn't understand that, or maybe it just made him laugh too hard. I'm not sure exactly. Very good, CV McCullough. PG Tony says satellites can stay in the Lagrange points of Earth's orbit of the sun without using propellant. This instantly refutes geocentrism. Indeed it does. Indeed it does refute geocentrism. Yeah, because how could a satellite stay in the Lagrange point? Right, that's based on the movement of the Earth around the sun in equilibrium, gravity equilibrium. I had not thought of that one before. I had thought of the orbital period and radius of the moon as something related to geocentrism. That's a problem for geocentrism. But not that one. PhD Tony, very nice. Virillion says if Witsit was a fish, he'd be a flounder here. CV McCullough says, we missed your cousin. Is he still grounded? Yes, my cousin couldn't debate FTFE last week because he, McFlatty, got grounded. So it just fell apart. So Larry Scott says, I've never encountered ECEF of celestial bodies, just terrestrial and satellite positions. Maybe there is. So ECF is Earth-centered Earth fix. So again, Witsit is doing, this is a reification, really. The ECEF is Earth-centered Earth fix. So it's a coordinate system that is stationary in reference to the Earth. So as the Earth moves, the coordinate system moves with it, both around the sun and in its daily rotation. So the origin of the ECEF coordinate system is the center of the Earth, and it divides the Earth by planes, and so you get a position on the surface of the Earth that the coordinates for that don't move. Pretty convenient. If you were to use a heliocentric centered coordinate system to get your position on the surface of the Earth, it would be constantly moving. That would be very inconvenient if you weren't really concerned with your position in relation to other bodies of the solar system. If all you're worried about is, well, I want to drive my car from where I am now to somewhere else, all you care about is those positions. So you wouldn't want to use a coordinate system that's relative to something else. That's the whole point. But does that change the motion of the Earth? It does not. When you're inside a car, this is critical. When you are in a car, let's say you're in a bus and you're playing catch with somebody across the aisle, you are using a bus-centered, bus-fixed coordinate system to play catch across the aisle. Does that mean that the bus is stationary? No, it does not. You can look out the window and you can see that you're moving. So it's a reification to say, well, since you're using a coordinate system like that, then you have to be still. Nope, you've put yourself onto the model. That's the reification. Lisa says, be fair. Beware the Ephemerides of March. Someone in this chat said, forget who. So good. So somebody looked up the pronunciation of Ephemerides, and that's the correct pronunciation, or closer to it. I like Ephemerides, right? I read that, and I read Ephemerides, but I will attempt to. I'll look it up myself. I'll verify that that's the correct one, and then I will attempt to use the correct pronunciation in the future. Stephen McCullough says he had a football scholarship. Waterboy reference. Okay, yes. The dishonesty, the bragging about how smart he is. I literally got a full ride scholarship to a university, a private university, when it was a football scholarship. And I'm also not believing for a second that it was a full ride. Because what did he do? He quit. You get a full ride and then quit? Was it because the classes were too hard? I mean, you got a full ride, so you didn't have to worry about anything, right? You didn't have to pay any bills. You didn't have to pay for room and board, did you? Because it was a full ride, right? All right. Witsit's ego. Arnold says Witsit's ego is so inflated that it stretches all the way to the Van Halen belt. I love swapping out Van Halen belt with some of the dumplers to get them to say it. Arnold again says, "Oh yeah, oh yes, the Lagrange point discovered by those guys with long beards and guitars out of Houston." Ha 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 ha. Look, Houston. Houston? Do you mean Seattle? The Lagrange guys with long beards and guitars? Or are you talking a different group of long beards and guitars out of Houston? Out of actually Houston. All right, hold on. See, I'm thinking ZZ Top when you say long beards and guitars. Oh yeah, okay. So they're from Houston. But why is it Lagrange? What's Lagrange about ZZ Top? Oh, there it is. You see, okay. ZZ Top formed after Gibson. Within a year, they signed to London Records. Their first album, 71. 1973, and Fandango in 75. And the singles, Lagrange and Tush, gained extensive radio airplay. There it is. All right. I only know of one ZZ Top song. It's every ZZ Top song. You know, it's the bass. Right? That's the bass in every ZZ Top song. And then the guitar just kind of pingy stuff. That's about it. I don't know. It's the same song. They have one song. I went to see him. I saw him in concert. I'm like, I knew a couple songs. I'm like, oh, is this? No, it's not. No, is it? No, it isn't. It's not. It is. I don't know. Is it the same song? I couldn't tell. Sorry. But I enjoyed the concert. Arnold says, you're not wrong. They're nothing if not consistent. All right, we've got Josh Garver for $50. Thank you very much, Josh. You're super generous. He says, I missed the whole show because I was doing music stuff. I will rewatch tonight or tomorrow. And it is Josh's third super chat. Well, thank you for that. Josh, I will have tomorrow. We'll have Darryl Berry on with me, and we're going to talk about this debate with him. So if you're going to watch this, I'm going to want to watch it before that. But also, everybody, I'm going to say, be sure to go check out LaGrange. CV McCullers says LaGrange, Hard A, they're from Texas. I don't know. Yeah, I've driven through LaGrange, Iowa. Maybe it's LaGrange. And I think there's one in Georgia. I've seen both of those. I actually went to the gas station in LaGrange, Iowa. It's out of the way, but we're like, I need gas. So we had to go, we're on the plain in Iowa, and we had to go down into the valley, the river valley, get gas, and then drive back up. It's just a tiny little town. They have like one gas station there. Anyway, and then I will be doing, I got a full week. I've four streams this week for sure. So buckle up if you're into that. Everybody. Larry Scott says Cheryl Teagues Cheryl Teagues or Paulina Perizkova. I know Cheryl Teagues. This is, hold on. Oh, all right. I'll do this real quick. And then I will address whether or not, all right, hold on. I I got to do this one. So get your finger ready to vote on this one for Larry Scott. You might have to look it up quickly. And yeah, Paulina. Yep. All right. I'm going Paulina, right, by the way. And I can't vote in my own poll. Oh, Paulina's winning. Okay. The other. So now, did Witsit throw Flat Earth under the bus? Do you think he did? Did all of these things that he presented so far contradict Flat Earth? Do you think he's like, screw Flat Earth? I'm out. It's not working out well for me. Is he reading the writing on the wall? All right, ending that poll, starting a new one. So let me make sure I didn't misspell anything here. There we go. So the poll out of 46 votes, Paulina won. That's I thought so. Elvira or Morticia. So yeah, the final poll here is, did he throw Flat Earth under the bus? I definitely think he did, but you may or may not agree. So that's your option. I will end it just before the song ends, but people, thank you very much for joining in. I'll be ready for tomorrow. And the link to Darryl doing the math is in the description. Go watch that if you're interested in watching the math. Everybody else, we'll see you later.
What is a full moon and what is a new moon on your model?
Probably like a magnetic cycle, and just like the center of a Ferrel cell image of a magnet.
Just like the center of a Ferrel cell spiral. Image of a magnet, it's just black in the middle. It's actually pure inertia, not just a little. In the Ferrel cell image of a magnet, it actually goes into its inertial state, then charges back up. It becomes like etherically displaced. Yeah. You start to see it charge up once more, and it goes back like it did before. Once it becomes like etherically spaced, you see it charge up and take its place. Oh, shucks, ain't that so? That's how moon phases work, fam. Pass the dresser. In the magnet's heart, centrifugal divergence flies, centripetal convergence pulls. Defying all science, etheric whispers sing, light and shadow blend, magnetic cycles spin, where physics seems to end. In the Ferrel cell image of a magnet, it actually goes into its inertial state, then charges back up. It becomes like etherically displaced. Yeehaw! Grab your partner, swing them round, magnetic cycles up and down. Either song in the air, hillbilly science everywhere, cause it's like etherically displaced. Yeehaw! Belly on up to the Witsit word salad buffet. Who has light vinaigrettes? Jugger Ranch.
Then charges back up, and once it becomes like etherically displaced again, you start to see it charge up throughout a cycle, and it goes back. Displaced again, you start to see it charge up throughout a cycle, and it goes back